Tokenistic message. I know they're under the pump at the moment, always are umpires, but we ain't got a game without them, Hutto, so get off their back.
It's not easy for a lot of people, but we need to start appreciating the umpires because the game doesn't function without them.
All right, talking about, I'm going to hold you two to those standards right through the commentary team.
Bring it on.
So a host of these players have been coached by Ross Lyon. Alex Pearce, certainly one of them. Commentary team.
Bring it on.
So a host of these players have been coached by Ross. He's going to, well, lead from the back, isn't he? It's unusual. There's not too many fullbacks. We obviously see it with the likes of Darcy Moore these days. What about the Saints on the other hand? We touched already on there. They had a really, like Freo, poor first game, but after that they turned their form around suddenly. And that the last 3 weeks have really put their coach under pressure, and he of course has put some of their players, young and old, under the pump in turn.
And when you do it in the manner that Ross Lyon did last week, and he did it publicly, he did it on the bench, he knows all eyes are on him, that then begs a response, and the response needs to come in the next 20 seconds when that ball gets bounced, because if it doesn't, having been as demonstrative, where do you turn to next? So they need a response. The Dockers have to win to establish their credibility. Lot at stake tonight.
Huge amount at stake for both St Kilda and the travelling Fremantle Dockers. The Saints coming off 3 losses. The Dockers coming off their best performance of the year. Nothing but a win will be acceptable. Darcy leading from the front. Got the tap down, and it's read by McRae. Sends the Saints forward. Shaman both at the focus. Draper the tackler. They lock it away. So Caminiti has started forward for St Kilda in the goal square.
Another name we need to keep an eye on is young Hugo Garcia, who started in the middle after being subbed out early last week.
And he just got about to get a quick kick out of there, but he's not in luck on this occasion because the umpire has paid up the holding free and is going to Sean Darcy.
He looks like he's keen to follow Andrew Brayshaw as well.
Oh, he locked onto him at that first centre bounce, Jace. The challenge to him was get on your man, and he started on his man tonight.
Yeah, we'll find out about young Garcia tonight.
Johnson sends it long up the line. Tracy was in the middle of that pack, couldn't get a jump at it, swatted away. Windhager reached up, dragged down. Clark did the business. Young, sharp, Frederick worked the way through. Johnson a bit lax. Gave it to his opposite, number 44. Wilkie and McRae combine. Give the Saints a look forward. Going with the flight, Owens.
Well supported by Shaman, then
Off to Hill, full flow. He's got shared heritage, and he's got the opener. Hill strikes first for the Saints.
Go back to the ball that seemed to hang in the air when it went forward at half forward, and watch the work of Cooper Shaman off the ball here. I thought he might have even got pinged, Jason, in terms of shepherding in the marking contest, but his first thought was to look after his mate here. So Shaman's on the left, high ball up and under from Jack McRae, and there's Shaman doing some really good body work off the footy, and you know that Owens is never going to take a backward step. So interesting start. So Garcia goes to Brayshaw, that's a lockdown. Windhager's out on this centre wing right now, so I thought Windhager might have been the man for Caleb Sarong.
As he did last year, so that is a change in approach, isn't it?
Yeah, so right now he's playing on Sharp on centre wing, and didn't look like he was going to go to Sarong, Hutto. So Brayshaw's the one they've targeted early.
Well, Brayshaw is in stellar form, but the Saints get the first goal. Brad Hill coming off at season-high 33 disposals. Now those gun mids get to work. That's the throw, though.
Yeah, it was caught by the umpire on the other side of the ground who had the right view. It's the right decision. Umpire in control at the back of the player. Couldn't see the little throw.
Jack Steele, another one who wants to put his best foot forward, get some continuity. The Saints captain to a clump up forward. Owens can threaten both in the air and in the ground. Had it for a long time, too long.
Stand!
Luke Ryan was the tackler and awarded the free. Quickly they get into this kick mark game out of defence to Cox, but good early signs for the Saints defensive formation because there's no next step.
Wilkie and Tracy, so there's a matchup that might determine a few things as well.
Floats one down the line. Sinclair had a look around, he had to fly, but Jackson back in the team, and he was in excellent form. According to the coach, one of the absolute best players before his 4-week hamstring absence. Back to Cox, and they're going to try and work their way around, bring it back to the dock side to Ryan. And the next step was either to Chapman or longer to Johnson. It did introduce an element of risk. That's so far so good.
And it also allows Jackson to get down and even numbers up behind the footy, and Darcy, because Marshall had worked deep in defence.
Still no way forward. So the Dockers stretch the grounds again. Draper out to Shaman.
Yeah, it's okay to keep switching the ball, but at some stage you've got to take some ground. Otherwise, you're just waiting until you make an error.
It's long up the line, so St Kilda have set it up pretty well. Darcy and Jackson were both there. Jackson reached up, took the mark and broke. Delivers forwards.
Outside
So a chance for the Dockers to set themselves up deep. Intercepted there. And that's well played by Stocker.
I think Stocker at the moment's got Shea Bolton as well.
He's got to go, not 15. No pressure coming at him, so he's got time and space, and he's got Shaman as the outlets.
Shaman runs and threatens the handball, but hasn't bounced. He's a long way from the forward line. He had Windhager up his sleeve. Down the line, low to Owens. Great choice, good hard lead on Pearce, keeping him occupied. Caminiti's just suggesting he kicks it boundary side. He goes more central. Higgins, if there's a crumb, there's no crumb. Cox saw to that.
No, he was back loose. Owens had to kick the ball away from Brennan Cox.
It wasn't a great entry, really, was it? Now it's an exit. Ryan to Chapman. Chases on from Wilson. He kicks in time, but he kicks widely, so it was the threat of Wilson. It was worth all the effort. And then Mrs. Amos. Ross is on the phone early.
So ball movement from the back half of Freo's been good to score. Looks a bit laboured at the moment.
Saints with the only goal through 5 minutes. Darcy controlled it down to the front. Young couldn't do a lot with it, so Wilson hands it to Hill, who's been busy early. Owens and Caminiti are there for the Saints. Crumming's been done by the Dockers. Draper feeds it away to Sharp. Comes out of half-back. Too wide. Gives it straight back.
Seems pretty pedestrian from a pressure point of view for Fremantle. We talked pre-game about the fact that they're 14th in pressure for the year. Had really good moments against Adelaide, but she's a pretty low-pressure situation right now.
Saints turn to build the ball. Magdalene Miller, it's never in better hands. But there's not a whole lot to work with, as you can well see. So Howard loops around. And it'll be up to a contest at half forward. Again, Owens is the man in the van. Knocks it down. McRae shares it to Burns. He'll give them a look in the hot spots. Out comes Marshall. This should work for Wilson. Good gather. No good on the slip.
Right.
It's just hit the wrong side of the ball. He had the little banana. Should have been a walk-in goal. He's just taken it a little bit too easily. He found himself back up on Sean Darcy, who couldn't turn and go with him. He could have strolled him.
Is that a crikey, Gaz, we got from you there?
Crikey Moses.
Loved it. On the way out, down the middle, Saints fans didn't get their... Would have been their second goal, but they're going to get another opportunity for a little bit of holding to McRae. Plays it out wide. Wilkie hasn't had a rest at all this year. It's 100% game time. To Webster, who gives it plenty up towards full forward. Oh, Darcy gets back and just snatches an intercept mark and sends it to his ruck running mate in Jackson. And now Brayshaw can pound it up the wing.
That is a well-weighted ball. Amos takes the mark. Now Young's the deep target. Wagner will be the link-up player. Saints are scrambling numbers back. Wagner checks his kick. Didn't do the forwards too many favours, although Tracy got it away. Wagner did get it in the end, and he had the nerve to snap the goal. Young had the nerve to snap the goal.
Yeah, well, Young took Jack McRae into an area of the ground that Jack McRae doesn't want to go to. It's as simple as that. We know that Hayden Young in the back half of last year pushed forward, kicked 13 goals last season. But the right time opened itself up that Hayden Young pushed hard forward. And you just see the only pair there inside 50 is Jack McRae running back to defend the one-on-one. Now, that's a bit fortuitous here because the kick from Wagner, no good. The St Kilda player slipped over, which allowed Tracy to get some body in front, and then Young does what he'd hoped to do. So he's gone to the goal square now, Hayden Young, and I'll guarantee you that Jack McRae doesn't go with him. So that's a nice weapon to have up their sleeve.
I think it might have been Stocker that slipped over. That was a horrible inside 50. A horrible kick that they get very lucky with. You just see Stocker slipping over there.
He had 20 disposals of a goal last week. We saw him leading out of the goal square, Hayden Young. And he's already hit the board tonight, even though there was a stroke of fortune involved.
Fremantle.
Free kick is going to Fremantle. Jack Steele about to make what he thought was the great escape. Instead, it's to Sarong. And Clark with speed out of defence. Upping the pressure on the likes of Dougal, and maybe Webster reached out. Did he know? That's the other one.
Yep, against Amos.
Goes to Howard. To Wilkie. Again, it's a slow play, but progression to Webster.
For large portions of the game thus far, we've also seen Brad Hill running with Jordan Clark. Now, those two are going to cover some territory.
That was the hold we saw in the box a few moments ago. Sinclair now. Back again. Tried their luck on the dock side. Howard. Second game of the season for him. Tries to put some semblance of pace on it for Hall. Good spoil in the end. Clark making the play again himself. Can he pace away here, generate something with a floating handball to Johnson? Immediately trapped. Just got the handball, just eked out. Hall missed his moment. Bolton scooped it up. They gathered him in. Looking for something decisive. Wagner to Bolton, getting further away from goal. Ryan, trouble for him in the form of Caminiti. Yes! Potentially could have been high. Not the way the umpire saw it. The Dockers get most of their players goal side, which means there's St Kilda players up at the football. Windhager, one of those, could creep close enough to have a shot. He tries to play the percentages. Shaman, his best chance. Also pushing forward was Marshall. And get it over the boundary line via Sharp.
6 tackles to 4. It's a pretty low pressure game at the moment.
Boxers first moment, stern tackle. Big-bodied youngster. Saints push deep. Sharp will have to hand the footy up. Marshall and Darcy. Cray on the fly, got caught, gave it away to Hill, worked it out the back to Steele, needed one more, didn't have it, he had problems with Sarong. Webster lends a hand right to the teeth of goal. Pearce has it well covered.
That ball is not what's helping St Kilda forward. They're outsized in their forward 50, there's no question. So I think it's a marked situation right now in favour of the Dockers. They've got to halve the contest, get it to ground, or lower their eyes.
Skipper uses it to Cox, long-term running mates. We're uncertain where to go, so up to a big contest. There's tools everywhere there and a bit of interference underneath it all as well. Umpire let it go. Stopper hands it back.
Manganine, Miller, Higgins, Owens have all had a bit of a rest. They're itching to get back out on the ground. The footy is in their vicinity, so it shouldn't take too long. Prolonged tackle applied by Wagner, but not to the umpire's liking in terms of a free kick. Umpire demanding some space behind him. McRae and Sarong are just there. He goes between them and Sarong comes flying through with the passageway. Hall was about to read it, but it's going instead to his captain in Steele. So Shaman is deep, but instead he's going via Manganine Malera. He looks to sum things up. There's a couple of overtures in short. Somewhere in the middle, he finds the right way to go on. Likely Sawson Burns couldn't hang on. Wagner off to Tracy. Back in defence to Sharp, who is Freo's running man, so often unrewarded. Drive towards half forward over Young's head. O'Connell is his escort this time. And we're back over the boundary line and out of bounds. We're almost at the midpoint of that opening term. You wouldn't package it up and send it overseas.
You wouldn't. The last inside 50 from St Kilda was much better though. It was Burns hitting up at the ball.
Beautiful kick.
Just he didn't hang on in the end.
Jackson to ruck against Owens. And terribly effective. Stocker underneath. Jackson dealt with him.
5-2 clearances in favour of the Saints at the moment. It's a little bit of ascendancy. They had really good 9-3 inside 50s. They just haven't cashed in.
Sharp to bring it away and give the forwards a look. Tracy's his targets. Webster across the front. Reed almost to Switkowski. Didn't quite work. O'Connell pushed the other way and Webster to clear the area for the Saints. Caminiti worked his way well to the front of that contest.
Well, that's what he's got to do with Brennan Cox. The number one rule is don't be outmarked, and then if you can do that, that's a nice added bonus.
Moved forward late last week and is staying there, Caminiti. Howard's return allows them to do that and be a bit flexible. There's O'Connell on return this week, the Irishman, had the first 3 games this year until he was concussed. Windhager, more of a free man tonight. They're pretty well spread in the forward 50. Now they all gather at the top. Owens gave a shove on Cox. Took him out of the picture. Clark awkward. Had to reach for it. Boxall over the top. Puts the tackle on. Well done, young man.
How can the three umpires that are watching that ball go inside 50 not see the Owen shove? Double-handed shove, push him out of the marking contest.
Jackson and Owens. Jackson with the height.
It's the threshold of unduly, Gaz.
Well,
what do you regard as unduly?
Someone you've got to get back on the ball, don't you?
McRae to Hill. Paul has been impressive this year. Really handy pickup. Tough shot for Hill if he was going to take it with his weight going the other way. Centering ball again for Caminiti. Almost for Stocker. We're venture into the forward 50. He kicked a handful of goals in his career and none for the Saints, so he won't get one here. It's 1-1.
10-4 inside 50s to St Kilda. They've kicked it inside 58 times. They've only retained the ball twice. They've got to get better at that.
Good win for Owens against Jackson. Chaotic ball going forwards. It squirts out Collard, got boot to ball, but it never had any direction about it. So they're behind for the Saints.
Yeah, that ratio is actually a reflection of how well Fremantle defended, because the Saints are very good at scoring once they do go inside 50. The Dockers defence has stood up well under the territory that the Saints have had in the first term thus far.
Ryan eager to bring it into play. Just had to find the right man, and he found it in Clark. Jackson got there late, had an impact. Amos all bubbled around every which way. Difficult for Owens. All that is a fierce tackle from Jackson. Take out the frustration of a month on the sidelines on Mitch Owens.
He started well. Luke Jackson marking the ball really well. Yep.
Bouncing around here. Now he's up against a more regular ruckman in Marshall. Away from Brayshaw. Garcia right on his task with Caleb Sarong.
Jack McRae, 6 possessions, 3 clearances. Just keeps finding the footy.
Marshall tried to wrench it clear. Johnson had a mind about that. Put it out in front of Brayshaw. Wanganeen Miller wore him close. It's a good duel. Re-dragged over the boundary. Boxall is racking up the tackles. So in their recent matchups, the Dockers in the past 5 against the Saints have averaged only 67 points. And the 2 against Ross, they've scored 72 in a win and 52 in a loss. So I think it was going to be a shootout, that's for sure. And that's the mode in which it has started. Boxall's kick is smothered. Gets another look. Brayshaw fights the fight at the source. That's a real scramble for it.
Fremantle. Fremantle free kick.
Well, the point you just made earlier, made you 1 goal to 1 deep in this first quarter, but there's no reason. Like, it's not as if there's numbers behind the footy. It's just a low pressure game where they haven't been able to complete their inside 50 work, particularly St Kilda. They've only been inside 50 4 times, Fremantle.
Brayshaw and Sarong on Marshall. Handicap tag team. Johnson puts it up to 4-4. Good job by Webster. Saw it coming and diffused.
And whoever plays on Webster's got to be able to take their man far enough away from Josh Tracy that he can't zone off. That's the 3rd time. So Dudley just stands there and Webster says, I'll come off the man and cut the lead off.
Looks like a clear instruction, doesn't it, to Webster?
100%.
Struggling to find the way out. Give it to Wanganeen Miller. He's just lobbed that in front of Marshall. It pans out and passes to Steele, who takes the territory up the line for Higgins. Dockers get their numbers back, so Higgins has to hold up. And they will try again to take a big mark. Owens right in the middle of it. Chapman, the spoiled Cox, will be happy to see it over.
So Ross, we far happier with the clearance situation. So they're getting their hands first possession 4 times. They've turned it into 3 clearances. That was his big frustration last week. You're getting first possession and then we're getting smashed in clearance. So that's a little one that they've tidied up.
Feels like goals are going to be very precious tonight. Marshall to the front. And forward by Boxall towards the line, and it goes over and out. He's getting his hands either on the opponent or the footy at the moment is young Hugh Boxall from Claremont, but the Swanbourne Tigers Junior Footy Club. James Clement, one of his coaches in his formative years. All on its way back into play. Jackson got it down. The Saints are swarming. Wagner over the top. See her in there again.
12-5 inside 50s now. So St Kilda have had the field position And they've also denied Fremantle the movement of ball from one end to the other.
Well, Saints on ball is doing a great job at the moment. You've got Andrew Brayshaw and Caleb Strong with one possession each.
Incredible. I don't think that's as low a number for those two as you could possibly see in a game of footy.
Johnson has picked up that slack. Jackson's his target. Amos has a fly as well. O'Connell at the back. Frederick stuck the tackle. Windhager trying to bustle through. Didn't pan out. Ball it up.
And the Garcia-Brayshaw matchup is not hard lockdown as it was at the start. So, and Sarong hasn't got a hard run with either. He's just head-to-head with McRae at the moment.
Sarong not effective with the clearance. Windhager bustled and finally worked it out the back and over. Umpire just right on the spot to examine that. Has Ross conjured tonight.
Who's enjoying one goal the one most later Longmuir and Ryan, do you reckon?
Ross is looking at the Mona Lisa here. Marshall, underfoot, Sinclair dumps.
Sinclair, stay.
So another creative with ball in hand.
Nothing through the middle of the ground. There's not a St Kilda player in the centre square.
They have massed their numbers on this near side. Boxall saw there was space and took off. Gives them a look in deep. Caminiti's the leaper over the top. Ground ball to be dealt with. Burns, not a bad idea. Garcia couldn't get it through the skirmish. And we'll go right back to the stoppage.
Well, they don't look like they're going to take a mark inside 50 the Saints, but they do look dangerous once the ball comes to ground. That's when they get numbers around the fall of the ball and the ability to make something happen.
Well, Higgins is their ace in that regard. He's only had the one touch. Burns has got forward as well. A misplaced handball. Jackson sends it high and pretty wide to Darcy. He was well set up to take that mark up the ground, but now he has to wait. 1-2 to one straight. Just under 6 minutes remaining in it. Opening turn that is absorbing would be the most positive spin we can put on it.
Tracy, Amos, Bolton ahead of the footy. Get it in.
Johnson waited and then kicks towards Tracy predictably, though. They had 2-on-1 against Sinclair. His third disposal of Boxall, who continues to get involved. To Garcia. Took a big chance in trying to reach McRae. Clark, now Pearce. Well, up from full-back, able to win it. Young, he's dynamic. Handball's aimed at Dudley. Webster tries to get hold of him. Dudley was able to prevail to some degree at least. And the numbers multiply. There's just a loose handball from Young, and now Wagner and Jackson take their piece. It's zipping around. Collard drives it forward. No support. Ryan had a quick look in the rearview mirror, but Caminiti was a couple of steps away to have an impact. And this is Cox. And to Johnson, I feel like we're back where we started.
We are, exactly, in the hands of the same player as well. Disposal number 9 coming up for Johnson. Changed his mind in mid-flow, I think. Wanganeen Miller at best place.
Well, you can see Tracy with his arms in the air because the kick wasn't to his advantage. But Ross Lyon's having a win. It's stagnant ball movement from the Dockers, and ultimately, when they go forward, it's long, slow up the line.
Yeah, but there's nothing that suggests it's Ross Lyon driven. They've got to be bolder, Fremantle. They've got to take the game on here. It's a criticism that's been levelled at them a lot.
This is the play. Wanganeen Miller up right through the middle. Had a look and then scunged the kick. You could barely believe it. Young on the turnover. Jackson works it away. Pumping forward. Clark Reid did okay. St Kilda swarm their numbers back. Sinclair, Webster. Webster has to tidy up a bit of a mess. They're not terribly sure here. Wilson's lost it. Brayshaw. Can he create? Not to be dragged down. Wilson suffers the same fate.
Even on that play where they turned that footy over in the middle of the ground, Dudley was on free. They don't look long. They look sideways or short first. So they've got to get more aggressive. Great pressure from the Saints, by the way, to lock this ball up here.
Marshall over the top of Darcy. Hall to Burns. Didn't want to rush the kick in the end. It went to a dangerous place. Suddenly the danger is for Fremantle because the Saints have got the means and the method. Caminiti, Higgins, he snaps everything. And there is another happy snap. A roll from Jack Higgins. And then a roll when he finished the tunnel. And the Saints are doing most of the scoring. They're more than double Fremantle.
Well, when you get the opportunities, you've got to take them. You mentioned before he hadn't had a lot of the ball, Jack Higgins, just the 2 possessions, but he doesn't need a lot. I reckon Justin Longley will be really disappointed with the effort of Brendan Cox here. You've got to keep your feet. He just went to ground with a little bit of contact from Higgins far too easily. And then you're a man down as soon as that happens. Higgins keeps his feet, he gets involved, and there's the double. I'm not going to say it's the most gymnastic-style roll that I've ever seen, but it was effective.
So they had to get some reward. +8 inside 50s, +5 once it gets in there, forward 50 at ground ball. 27% scores per inside 50, Chief. So finally some reward for effort. 15-7 inside 50. They've had some looks.
Outright second on the Coleman.
It's amazing, isn't it, really?
It's an early warning for the Saints. They'll have to be perfect from hearing. 8-point leaders, St Kilda. Darcy clear control, didn't find a teammate. Garcia just hacked it forward. Wade under that. Clark did and then dropped it. Got away from Higgins and Hill though. Hand pass is not much chop. Garcia tried to find the way back. Clark's in attendance. Saints knocked that out well. Shaman, Hill, Burns has been lively up front. Over the top of Higgins. Pearce couldn't intercept. But he does get it over the boundary.
Sorry, guys. Dougal Howard is just on the boundary, getting some work done on his hip flexor. He did come off and down into the rooms, just being seen by the physio now. Travalia is having a little walk around just in case.
Saints pressing. No space. Sharp free kick.
Let's see whether they've got some capacity to move this footy from one end of the ground to the other. St Kilda have just blocked them up. They've slowed them down. Close the exits. There's been no flow at all. They've only had 7 inside 50s for the quarter.
Fitness test with Howard, isn't it, at the moment? Chapman to bring the Dockers out wide, just into the hands of Brayshaw.
But how laborious is this? Like, does St Kilda get behind the footy now? There's only one St Kilda player behind Andrew Brayshaw right now.
And long up the line. To the front, Tracy underneath Bolton. Can he find a way through? Steers the ball ugly. Cut off Wanganeen Miller. Away quickly to Hill and off to Wilkie. Dumped down the line. Higgins is very much outnumbered. Brayshaw's got it again.
And eyeing off the middle where Warner was able to hang on to the mark just.
Minute 45, Hutto.
Yep.
All the Saints are in one half of the ground right now. Ross has seen enough here. Just will take that 1-goal lead inside into quarter time.
Pearce just shuffling through the potentials. Found a good one in Frederick. Couple of goals last week.
All the big guns, all the big dogs are deep. Pearce is going high.
Tracy comes. He's got 3 Saints to deal with. Was that illegal? He's certainly hit the ground hard. Here's Tracy. And he's in pain.
Yeah, he has hurt himself. Let's hope he's okay. Just gets pushed underneath the ball. Oh, it's one of those you land on the head. Land very heavily.
Darcy muscled his way onto it. Stocker, they're wary of Bolton, is waiting on the outside. Wanganeen Malera clears it out to the wing, so it's coming back with 1:03 on the clock. Pearce again is the man.
The buttock, I think he's indicating then that might be it. So he's staying out there, Josh Tracy.
Back on his feet, barely. Pearce. He pushes hard back that time. Marshall almost dragged it down. Dudley surrounded and collapsed on
It's
it.
hard to, you don't want to be too critical. It doesn't resemble the sort of footy that we've been watching over the past 3 or 4 weeks from the teams at the top end of the ladder here.
Marshall took it, didn't go anywhere. Stocker flings it beyond the defensive 50. Pearce well set.
And I don't think Ross is going to care that much if they go into the lead at quarter time.
So that is through the middle of the ground to see if they can find a better way. Ryan pumps it straight back to the big pack. Darcy 1-2, couldn't hang on to the second. Steele does his work at the source. Out through McRae, links it up to Hill. McRae again. St Kilda bring it up the line to an outnumber, and Chapman is taking the mark.
With 15 seconds left, Young, too far out even for him, and that lovely long left foot employs it to the square. Amos, good body work that time. He wanted to get back onto the footy and was able to do that. He was a sitting duck.
Great tackle.
Great attention to detail by Kilda again.
It clubs him down right on the siren.
And the Saints fans, they love it. They're proud of it. They've been able to restrict Freo to just one goal. Jack Steele and his man. Tracy is a bit sore. You're going to play hurt tonight on Friday night footy. So the early points to the Saints. It's just the start of things. And what's a big Friday night? It's a big weekend, as always, on Fox Footy. And when it comes to its conclusion, who better? The Big G and Little G, as I heard described. Gary Lyon and...
All right, folks, here we go. Welcome in Adrian, Sports Channel. Here you go. I'm the biggest Fremantle supporter you would find. Eddie G, what's going on, Sky? What's going on? I tell you what, both sides' pressure's pretty good in this game, but it's a scrappy game. Both teams still trying to find their feet. I tell you what, it's hard work getting it out of their forward, out of their back line. I tell you what, the forward lines seem to be just getting flooded, and the Dockers, I certainly noticed in those final few minutes there of the play, the St Kilda defence were just getting back flooding, and the Dockers were just bombing it in. You just can't do that. It just makes it too easy for St Kilda to spoil and get the ball out of their defensive 50. They need to lower their eyes, maybe a couple of shorter kicks, move around, try and spot a few targets, play for each other, confuse the St Kilda backman. That being said, it's a pretty tight game. They're just feeling each other out at the moment. I think both teams will be reasonably happy where they sit. St Kilda 2-2, 14 leading the Dockers, one straight goal, 6. 8 points here to the Saints. But I think the game will open up. As I was saying, Eddie G, I think it'll probably open up maybe in the third quarter. They'll go in a little bit more of a hustle and tussle and bustle. Maybe in the second term, I tell you what, I know she's low scoring at the moment. Freo just confused. Well, a little bit confused. They just can't seem to find that open space. I don't know whether over there in Optus, is it Optus Stadium over there in Perth? Is that the one? Whether that's a bigger ground, wider wings, I'm not 100% sure, but they just don't seem to have the space today. And St Kilda certainly playing that flooding game backwards. That's what it looks like to me. There's not much. There is just no open ground there in the forwards for them. So I think they've got to try and look at a different way in going in, even if they can lead up a player about 40 out instead of trying to bomb it straight down to the square, where it's just too easy to defend. That's what they need to do. I think the coaches will both probably... we'll see whether the coaches address that coming up in the second half. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the ins and outs, which I didn't get to in the beginning. Of course, St Kilda, the ins coming in was Liam O'Connell, Matthew Pupalo and Hugh Boxall. They're the ins for the Saints, going out with Mason Wood, Zach Jones, Isaac Keeler. Hugh Boxall is the new player, and of course the milestone, that is him for his debut game. For Freo, there's only one change. Luke Jackson coming in, Oscar McDonald going out. Let me just roll that up. For anyone watching a replay, they can actually have a look at their teams. There are the teams. We're going to go and have a look at some player stats there. Let me reload this up and we'll have a look at the goal scorers. There's not many. There's 3. There we go. There's only one goal scorer for Freo, Hayden Young. Just the single. St Kilda, Bradley Hill, Jack Higgins, the only 2 goal scorers there. Disposal, let's have a little bit of a look. All pretty sharing it around. No one's hit double figures yet. Matty Johnson there. Tops the table there for Freo with Bradley Hill on 9 for the Saints. Jimmy Webster, Luke Ryan, Jack McRae next best on 8. Let me just roll those down a little bit. And we're going to head back to the commentators because they're back and we're going to get into this second quarter. Andy Brayshaw, who they've touted as having could be possibly Brownlow favourite up after 7 rounds. He's only had 4 touches, so he's been quiet. They want him kicking on. And, of course, Shai Bolton, the other one that usually comes to light. I haven't seen much from him. He's just had the 4-1 kick, 3 handballs, and the 1 clearance there. But really, really interesting. Caleb Sarong, just the 2 touches, 2 handballs. So a lot of the big guns a little bit quiet there for Freo. Isaiah Dudley, they obviously want something out of him, little small forward there, if they want him firing as well. So a few of the players not really getting into the game yet, but I'm sure they will soon. Who else did we... Jack Steele, he's up to 5 there for the Saints. Wanganeen Miller on 7. He's a dangerous player for the Saints when he gets going. That is for sure. All right, we'll have a look at some team stats at halftime. But for now, Addy G, let's get back down to the ground for the second term, and they'll take us into the bounce in about 20 seconds. It's the Saints by 8 points.
And for the Saints as well, Dougal Howard spent a lot of time on the bench in that third quarter as well, looking to get his groin worked on. So we'll keep an eye on him as well, boys.
Good on you, Rube. It's a weird game, Jay. So there's been 28 inside 50s in total from this both sides. 16 for Kilda, 12 for Fremantle. There hasn't been a single mark taken inside 50 yet. Now, there's the one reason from the St Kilda point of view is they're outsized, so they're not going to take a heap of marks if they keep going along in the manner that they have. And the other end is Fremantle have had no flow, no ball movement. It's been slow, and St Kilda have got back and defended well.
So that's the challenge for Justin Longmuir. How does he open up the game to get it the way they want? Because at the moment, it's a long kick to a contest, normally a very big pack where they're not able to take marks, and then St Kilda are getting superior numbers at ground level.
Caleb Strong's had 2 possessions for the quarter, Jace. That is the 5th time in the last 4 years that he has been kept to 2 touches or less. And it hasn't been, well, as from where we can sit and see, it hasn't been as a result of a super hard tag.
No. So does it mean if they can basically put the acid on their midfield, win more centre ball, that will naturally open things up a bit?
Yeah, and then they've got to get themselves organised ahead of the footy. That is Fremantle. So Darcy's gone to the goal square, Tracy's in front of him, and Amos is in front of him.
He averages 30 disposals a game. I reckon he'll up the ante in this second term.
Jackson gets first look in the ruck. At the start of this second term, Darcy's gone to the goal square. Jackson had a mind to maraud out. St Kilda thwarted those ideas. McRae, Sinclair, Steele were able to work it forward. Owens comes out but lost it. Sarong a little hand pass. Warner's kick smothered. Good body work done by Owens to forge a path, and Johnson was stung in the aftermath. Brayshaw at the loose ball. It got him.
Sums it up. Not great forward pressure from Jack Higgins, but the 2 Freo players looked at each other.
They did, and I think that's also a product of not having had a lot of the ball, Andrew Brayshaw.
Higgins gives it all. He Scots. That's not the one. It sat for a moment on the behind line, but ultimately dealt with for a rushed score.
So I think he was desperate just to get his hands on the ball, when perhaps a shepherd and allow his teammate to take it might have been the better option.
Here the squeeze comes on again from the Saints. 16 of the 18 players in one half of the ground. Just want to squeeze Freo up and ask a question of him.
Clark, fractionally off the instep, so they have to adjust in flight, and adjust they do. Tracy took it and then took off. And then it was a matter of dealing with it, and he tries to shape it. This is Kowski, but the bounce a little fickle. Instead it's Stocker sending the Saints forward. Caminiti with the mark, and then the forward handball to Burns. He's got Hill, he ignores him, pumps it long. Owens is a worthy target. Well seen, well executed, well done.
Well, I wonder if that's a sign of what Longmuir wants from the Dockers. They went straight down the middle, they went quick, and then after taking the mark they tried to play on. Now, unfortunately, Tracy ran himself into trouble, had no left foot, tried to kick a banana, and they get hurt on the turnover. So here's an opportunity for the Saints to punish them and open up a 2-goal break because they were more efficient going forward.
11-4 for the season. He's been big in their wins, as we see Johnson maybe getting some treatment for that incident a few minutes ago. 2-4-2 in their 3 wins, and he's threaded that one. And the Saints lead expands a little further, out to 15 points. They land a blow at the start of the second term.
That's a great win for the Saints. You just got to factor this in. So you get a contested mark down the line from a kick in, and about 20 seconds later you're having a shot at goal because you turned it over in your half of the ground. So Josh Tracy did everything right. Then, as you said, his exuberance to play on before he knew what was ahead of the footy. And this is a good result. This is a really good kick, this, by the way. Off the line there. So the only other option was Jack Higgins. So he spotted that up beautifully. And Owens is really good. Jack McRae's been the one in the middle of the ground. So he's had 4 clearances and 2 centre-bounce clearances. The clearance numbers are 13-7 in favour of St Kilda. Big number.
Those ground balls plus 12. It's been a strength of the Saints this year.
St Kilda by 15. Jackson tries to forge it forward again, but McRae is there once more. Out to the wing she goes. Frederick's got first access. Owens came hard. Won it for the Saints. Garcia pulled the kick up the line. Frederick doesn't have it in hand. Steele trying. Windhager down by Frederick, who wouldn't be beaten.
Yeah, I think Ross Lyon would like to have a look at the way that Owen attacked that footy, and Frederick maybe could have got there and chose not to.
Sorrell thrown to grounds. No whistle. Brayshaw around. Clark fed it up. Dudley. That's a throw.
Oh, this kid in the trenches style of footy suiting St Kilda right now, Jared. This is right in Ross Lyon's wheelhouse.
Rather a fight than a feed tonight. Owens sets the Saints up forward. Shaman moved the pack and he might get the crumb. Can he gather cleanly? Needed support. Hill to ground. Switkowski piled in. Draper and Sarong and Switkowski trying to find the way out. It's a hurried kick that Tracy has to make good. Awkward bounce, bowled over. Frederick, his own man. Windhager and McRae set up. Marshall turns, pretty agile stuff. He gave him a great look, and Wilson takes them up.
20 inside 50 to 12. Close the game down in their half of the ground and then make it an ugly scrap until you can find something within 20 metres of goal.
And we're seeing all their forwards defending, aren't we? Switkowski in the forward.
100%. They're all
Tracy
caught up the ground, Hutto, because the ball won't go out. This is developing into a little bit of a Ross Lyon masterclass here. Win the footy in your half, scrap until you get a good look at it, and pick it out, the eyes out of it 20 metres out from goal.
And then take your chance when it arrives. Darcy Wilson does just that. St Kilda with a couple to start the second term. And the lead builds to 21.
It's interesting, the quick ball forward, it's got the Dockers defence looking all at sea. They're uncomfortable, they're not well set up. And importantly for the Saints, the chances they're creating are in the corridor. So they're getting dead set looks from basically directly in front. We saw Mitch Owens moment ago from directly in front, and then the same thing there. Nice easy one.
Onus right fairly and squarely on the Fremantle Football Club.
It is, they've got to get their hands on the footy before they do anything.
This is a Friday night big stage against a team that have been a bit vulnerable and they've been out scrapped.
They've got to get a warning here for 666. You've taken forever to get themselves organised.
and Hayden Young still out of position. Darcy Wilson's made a habit of kicking goals lately. That's
There's the warning.
His last 6 games he's been able to hit the scoreboard. There's that centre clearance differential, 5-1. It's where it's all starting. Marshall.
Plus 14 contested possession too, Hutto. Don't forget that.
Johnson seems to be okay. He's part of the group in the middle. He's beaten the footy, but there's some hanging on anyway. And goes to Garcia. After Wanganeen Mulera, who takes the extra step or two. Kicks into the pocket of Shaman. 20 centimetres off. Owens. Hill flipped out. Shaman. Again. Going to the hot spot, 25 out from goal. Windhager, the handoff. Marshall couldn't craft it. Steele and Higgins look at each other. The hands were so quick. Came back to Marshall. It's give. They just couldn't find the choice shot at goal. Wagner relieves the pressure, and Jackson gives him away with some help from the umpire of getting out.
Yeah, it's to see whether Freo have got the appetite to try and work back the other way. They just look mired in the mud right now.
And falls to the long down the line. Amos well out of position. Rookie didn't quite get it, but he does stick the tackle on Young.
Well, we saw them go down the corridor from the kick-out after behind, but everything else has been slow and long down the line.
Garcia grapples underneath with Bolton.
And this is a low handball game. They've had 38 handballs for the game so far. That brings run and carry and dare. And right now they just would rather kick than handball their way out of trouble.
Bang.
Got hit hard there. Darcy onto it. Hill couldn't bring him down. Boxall couldn't bring him down. Fed it away. Wagner got brought down. Holding the ball.
And standing again in their front half, the Saints.
Hall's ball. Quick glance. Give them a look deep. Thumps it in. Caminiti and Shaman in the pack. Never got a look in. Good intercept mark from Cox.
Again, can you generate something off an intercept mark? Slow down the line.
Well, they're very quick to cordon off the corridor, the Saints.
Just a bit too keen.
So they're not going to win, the Dockers, if this is all they've got. Continue to go long and slow down the line.
Well, their intercept defenders are being overworked at the moment. They're under all sorts of pressure. This is Amos. And Starvation corner down up forward. High ball. Tracy breaks away from Wilkie. And on the second grab, he claims now Young is clear inside the 50. Didn't spot him. Instead, he was intent on the switch to Johnson, who's crept to half forward. Young has gone to the goal square. Is there a chow between the two? Not really. Takes it wider instead. Now Ryan, he very rarely gets this close to goal.
If you read it, led beautifully back towards a pocket into space. They just didn't see him.
Just 3 goals in his career. He was having a few shots pre-match. Doesn't take it on. He went for the size of Darcy, but he was encircled by 3 Saints, including Shaman.
That's so disappointing. The switch from Tracy was great. They had to hit a lead up into the forward 50.
Wilson and Webster trying to work the way out of half back. Not initially. Clark did enough. Webster gets a 3rd go. He retreats. Wilkie.
Well, that was the first time that any St Kilda defender would have felt any pressure, and it came from Jordan Clark. So it's played very much on St Kilda's terms here.
Anthony Miller rolls. Not his best kick. Johnson paddled away instead of taking the money.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if that's a confidence thing or they're feeling the heat and pressure from St Kilda. That's a disappointing result. That would have been the intercept mark, 60 metre out from goal that they needed. The rebound, good sides take that, come back in the other way and kick a goal.
Saints by 21. Marshall clear tap to the front. Steele, Boxall working hard. Reed clever, flipped it over his head. Bolton's away. Just got tagged at the last. Brilliant chase.
It's a brilliant chase, but if you can explain to me why he took a bounce when he didn't need to, instead of bursting away using his speed.
Hugo Garcia, a Saint desperate to redeem.
Unbelievable, Jared. The lessons have been learned here.
Bit ad hoc, but somehow they get out of the middle. Miller plays it back to Pearce, who was the insurance, but he too. You see the hesitation in their eyes and in their actions. Ryan's kick is a low ball to Clark. Dudley seemed the obvious man to go to. That moment's passed, so set to Sharp now. It gets to Dudley. He had to wait for the bounce, which is always awkward. Nimble hands to Sharp. Kept on coming. A high ball. Here's Tracy hitting it hard. Good reflexes. Stocker. He gets smashed into the ground. You're going to wear him. They'll have a ball up.
That Shaman's had 5 possessions. At least he's showing some intent. He realises he's being quiet. He realises his club needs a spark and he's trying to do something about it.
Down the throat is Sinclair. Boxall lost his footing. Lots of appeals and arms waving.
You're waiting for someone to show that they are disappointed with what they're producing, and their first little sign was from Bolton.
Darcy trying for open space. Young couldn't handle it all. A give up. Murphy Reid works it around. Young gives some grounds. Draper has to go. Told to. Sets it up for the teeth of goal. Dudley was the spoiler in there. They didn't really have a leaper at it. O'Connell taken to ground by Dudley. Another ball up.
Just a little bit of intent. The Saints have been magnificent. They're the ones who have been in the driving seat from a pressure and head over the footy. What have the Dockers got here?
It was tossed over the ruckman's head. Dudley trying desperately. Everything he can think of. He drags down Anthony Miller.
16 St Kilda players in their defensive 50 right now.
Young still watched carefully. He was on the move. He wasn't far away. Reid. Cuffs are on him as well. Dudley comes back to the ball. Shows good aggression. It's tucked under there somewhere.
Dougal Howard's still yet to come onto the
He's
field.
really had some grunt, hasn't he, to this St Kilda defence in the last couple of years.
Good contest between those two. They both turned side on, which is the AFL wants.
Clear path for Darcy. Young, the handball back to Clark. It eluded him in the end. Windhager just tumbles it back. Saints know it's going to be re-entered, and it is from Pearce, and he finds Frederick.
Well, that's the first time there's been any semblance of a game plan, and that is win the footy back in your half from pressure. So for the last, 2 minutes since Shea Bolton showed a bit of intent, the ball stayed in their half the ground. For the first time for the night, the captain positioned himself really well. The ball comes out, and rather than blasting away, they're able to hit a target inside 50.
2 goals won last week. They've upped the ante, but you've got to have something to show for it. And all they've got is Amiga behind.
Well, I wouldn't want to miss too many of these opportunities because they're not creating many. But for the last couple of minutes, they've basically done what St Kilda has done to them in the first quarter and a bit, and that's surge the ball forward, lock it in, and then set up a big press behind it.
Stocker clears the area. Caminiti had to make the contest. Boxall lent a hand to make sure it wasn't intercepted. Hall and Steele bring it away. Windhager's got forward to the contest. He'll thump it and give them a look. Shaman sets.
This will hurt, Jared. This will hurt. For the first time, you've had some field position for the night. Can't score a goal. Ball goes the length of the ground, and now Cooper Shaman gets a shot.
Had a quiet couple of weeks. 0-3 against the Dogs, 1 straight against the Lions. We posted those 3 in gather rounds. It is a stern test of accuracy. Cooper Shaman has pushed it. It stays in the field of play. It's been places a mark. I'm not sure Cox thought he'd mark that, but he's going to be able to relieve some pressure.
It's the only area of the game they're dominating is contested marking. They lead 9-1, but it's had no great impact.
Really desperate for a solution to the teammate to get to an attacking position on the way out.
Where's the plan here? Where's the obvious plan to try and move this footy from one end to the other?
Draper a couple of quick steps. He didn't really get hold of the kick down the line, so they'll have to lurch forward for it. It was Amos who made the running, but it's all St Kilda at the back. Webster and Hill trying to O'Connell will get it now. Runs straight into Young, and he didn't get boot to ball. And the umpire said that's fine, there was no prior. And it's over and out. Sore after that, Hayden Young.
18-9 clearances. I keep repeating it. 5 to Jack McRae.
Owen's rucking. So how will Jackson use his physical edge here? Gets it to the front for the tap. McRae and Sarong initially, and it's McRae that prevails. They go inside on Boxall's boot, but Cox is a bit of a wall at the moment from Fremantle point of view. It's a darn good thing because they need it. Possession 8 for him coming up, and he's had 7 marks.
Yeah, and that's his 4th intercept mark as well.
Jackson has a fly, didn't do enough to the umpire's satisfaction. Protests come to no avail. We've had Aaron Null decision for the weekend.
Well, this isn't a good sign.
Young hobbling off the field.
This could be a disaster. He is not moving well at all. I can't believe that wasn't a mark to Luke Jackson. It looked like he'd taken it cleanly.
Quentin Markowitz tonight, sub for the Dockers. Saints at the source. Everyone's had a fresh airy. Scavenge for it, pay through it.
Hayden Young is slowly getting the ground. He's their point of difference through the middle of the ground. He's had injuries, and that's not great.
Brayshaw with ball in hand. Jackson makes the lead for him. Owens worked him underneath illegally.
Just kept them to the side of the ground here. They get their numbers down the line, St Kilda. There's nothing through the middle of the ground that can open up for Freo.
So, a lot of activity down the Dockers bench would suggest that Hayden Young might well be done.
It's the only way to sort this out is on the switch and open up some space. Sharp has to wait a long time. Did well, came up just before Wilson arrived.
He might be in trouble too.
All that heavily, didn't he?
Might have hit his head on the way down.
So matters can quickly spiral from bad to worse when you're 20 points down.
Yeah, he got a clip which sort of forced the head down, and then he wasn't able to pull it up. See, the right arm just pulls the head down and hits the deck.
Sharp Ryan, Pearce, half volley. So he's got him to flow, and it mightn't be the worst idea. Toss it up, give Amos a jump, couldn't hang on. Switkowski down, dispossess.
Bit of urgency from the captain though. Trying to set them up here. We've got 7 minutes to go. They kicked 1 goal. They've kicked 1 goal, in just a quarter and a half of footy with 17 inside 50s.
Amos back to the goal square, but it's coming out of McRae's boot. Ryan just fends it back in and hopes for the best. Garcia continuing to respond to last week through Caminiti. That's Burns legging it out of there. A bit of hesitation on where to go next from Wilson. He had to trust the left boot. The angles well read by Draper. Was able to deal it off to Frederick, getting back to help out. And they've needed help back there. Johnson targets the outer side. Reed And now Brayshaw, this won't be a simple mark, and certainly once he takes it, his avenue is blocked for the moment. Hard lead from Amos. He's really run all the way out of the goal square to give him an option, which means it's now Jackson as the long target, but he had predictably Webster as a thorn in his side.
They've absorbed 19 inside 50s this defensive half for St Kilda and gave up a goal and a point. It's been superb. Unbelievable. It's as good defensively as Freo are poor going forward.
And they lead by 20.
With the switch, but the outlets were shut down. So return whence it came. Howard and Marshall. Windhager makes space up the line. Bringing in Miller of the shallow over the top. Never could quite be used. Wilkie ran into space. Where to?
Owens is down the line.
Just a steady build. Boxall has had an impression. Off to Windhager. Give them a look. Owen stood his ground in front. Kennedy put the fist through it. Higgins couldn't break clear. Draper had to stick the tackle and did. Chapman got bowled over by it. Had to make the tackle to save himself a blush.
Down to you, Roops.
Well, plenty happening on the Freo bench. Jeremy Sharp just being looked at after landing on his head in the marking contest, and Hayden Young as well. That looks like a hamstring injury, possibly. He has a history of having 2 of those in January and February this year.
Fremantle with Amos, with Tracy, and with Luke Jackson have taken 1 mark inside their forward 50.
Both ruckmen with the same intent to get it to the line. Trying to resuscitate it there is Garcia.
So he would love this, I think, Ross Lyon. He'd be thrilled with what they're doing. But the bottom line is it's 4 goals to 1 still.
Yeah.
So that leaves the door slightly ajar. Take nothing away from the Saints. Be fantastic.
Brayshaw 7 possessions, Sarong 4 in nearly a half of football.
So there's the upside.
Yeah, it's astounding though, isn't it, what they've done so far? Been constricted. Hands back to Windhager. His kick was knocking straight back down. Reed, there's McRae going along for the ride. Saints fans thought he should have been rewarded. And the hook kick is out of bounds on the foot.
Jack McRae had 6 clearances and leading possession winner on the ground.
Back to the sort of form that he had at the start of the year. Pivotal in their wins. Chapman from the stand start. High ball. Coming back with a fly. Back there is Miller playing it forward. Again, he's going to get involved again. Naz is kicking it at 50 to Higgins.
Plays on.
Does. Back to Wanganeen Miller. Made it a bit tougher than it could have been. He had to just submit in the end and hand it back. Brayshaw going down the stairs. And he's got the free at halfback.
Not the worst free kick to give away, though. Denied Fremantle the fast break out of halfback. Kick to halfway. Well-weighted ball. Johnson can go. Gives to Reed. Took him on. Got down. He got tripped. Outstretched leg.
Fremantle 7 points and a half are on track for their 2nd lowest half-time score since 1999.
They get rushed.
Excluding the extraordinary season.
Reed straight to Webster. Oh, he dropped it this time, and it gives Fremantle a look. Sarong to Amos. No way through.
Hayden Young officially done for the day. He's got ice on that hamstring. Really disappointing for him. Quinton Narkle will come into the game.
Gee whiz. It's not... it's going to get looked at. I can't hang a leg out like that, unfortunately.
Marshall with it. Reflexive action, it looked like, on the throw-in. He's rucking now against Jackson.
Holding St Kilda, Sinclair.
For a kick to the Saints. The whistle blew. Everyone held their breath. Which way was it going to go? Goes to the defensive. 2 metres now. 50. Bolton. Frustration starting to show. Marshall happy to stand up to that. Saints have the footy. They can dictate play on the way out. Stocker. Ball's gone. The umpire saying concentrate. Burns. He's got Wilkie. Oh, drifting forward. Wasn't quite sure what to do with it in that part of the ground. Burns' kick is going to be plucked back by Luke Ryan.
Well, Wilkie's trapped up with Tracy, so Marshall's gone easy defensive 50 with Luke Jackson.
Jeez, taken on a big load with that kick, and Bit of relief as the juggling mark was completed by Brayshaw, who has a way wide and then forward. Johnson had to wait a few extra seconds, which made the next kick a bit tougher. Jackson is the long target. Had enough balance just to kick in the end. Jackson tries to rise. He can't. Dudley the threat on the outside. Kept it alive, and then he ran into Wilkie.
So they finally get expansive with their ball movement, Freo. They come into the middle of the ground with Brayshaw. They've got 2 players free inside 50, and they end up out near the wing from a ball that all of a sudden has gone from dangerous to easily defended. And that's why they're sitting on 1-7 with 3 minutes to go.
Desperately striving for a second goal, Fremantle. Does he have a hand to it? Sarong wanted it. Dudley got rounded up by Hall.
It's quite incredible to think you can keep a team to a single goal from 21 entries.
Darcy trying to create out the back. Wagner's hand pass cut off. Burns just clears the area. Pearce will get first access. Needs a bounce, which is elusive. Snapped it away. Shaman hangs on. Kept the contest honest. Switkowski, Johnson, Brayshaw. Kick and Hope up into the pocket. Hope was Pearce who drifted forward. Couldn't pull it in. Wagner kept away from him just long enough. And Webster absorbed the tackle to get the stoppage.
Going to hold up again, Jace, this back group. They are absorbing, and just have not wavered.
Boxall takes it up above his head. There wasn't much he could do with it.
Well, it's going to be a massive readjustment at half-time for the Dockers. They're getting nothing from their midfield. The midfield unit as a whole is just not functioning.
Gray found away. Garcia, Hall, he came at him and then he got just taken high ever so slightly. There's enough there against Brayshaw. A hands will kick again to Garcia. Down the line, hard running Shaman is rewarded. Cabanedian Hill take off. There's Higgins inside the front 50, but there's also a number of taller Dockers. Owens wants it boundary side. Shaman full of indecision. He's made things a lot trickier than they needed to be. Ekes out a kick. Hill is waiting at the back. The crumbs went to the front. Higgins was circling, tries to draw the high contact from Sarong. In the end, he's very lucky not to be penalised.
There's a free kick coming here.
Going on here, there's a bit of communication.
14 seconds, where is he? Let him stop. Right, we have to handle it. He's going off. Right, okay. Are we good?
Going off. The blood starting to boil amongst some of the Saints fans. We resume. On the 50, McRae fires it out. Marshall batters it towards Higgins at full stretch. Chapman did his best. Back into the congestion again. Stocker's turn to sit on the medical chair.
It might have been he's got to go off because he got the hit, perhaps in the head, that they need to check.
Well worked by Boxall to give the forwards a look. Shaman set himself no mark. Owens momentarily. Sinclair, Owens, the snap. Hangs for a long time. It just doesn't have the legs. Fremantle desperate to rush it through, but Narkle's going to have to clear off the line. That's dicey. Dudley made it good.
She covered some ground to get there. That is potentially a goal-saving mark from Dudley.
So that makes more sense, Jason. It was obviously spotted in that arc or somewhere external to coming through.
Umpires pretending they're Secret Service agents.
They are. The message coming through.
Yeah.
It looked a lot like last night, Jared, didn't it?
No, number 86 out there, was it, or 99? I asked him not to tell me that. 20 points remains the margin in this incredible stalemate. Probably watching the Mini later on. That's where the best bits will be, but there's still lots of action and so much at stake in the second half. And in the closing minute, Manganine Miller up to the 50. Can they get a little closer? Shaman, no. It's a throw in again. The Saints fans are so engaged in this. If you told them they'd only kicked 4 goals for the first half, they probably wouldn't have been that thrilled. But tell them they're 20 points up. And they'll be front and centre, which is where the small men will be located now from the tap down. Sarong drags it out of there. Reid gathered it cleanly. Things can happen quickly. The cupboard was bare ahead, so had to bring Narkle in and look for the reserve running from behind. That's Chapman's kit, which was constructed. Zukowski takes off in such a rush, so haphazard. Even Bolton couldn't get there, and the frustrations are evident.
It was a beautiful kick coming off half-back. Zukowski had the opportunity to do something with the footy and just blazed away. They're feeling the heat, the Dockers, because nothing's working for them. We've got an opportunity here with 13 seconds to go to fashion a late goal.
Can they come up with just a second? Darcy to open space, Wagner to a dead end.
And for all the lack of endeavour and lack of any sort of purpose that they've shown, they're only 20 points down.
Well, True clears the area. Saints would like that to land and Shaman to arrive. And the siren of the sounds, a quarter of a century low. 1-1-7 Fremantle, trailing St Kilda 4-3-27 in a rather stunning half, Jason Dunstall.
It's been extraordinary, Jared. 4 goals to 1. That's not something that you see too often under the roof with absolutely perfect conditions.
Here, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? You've got to give credit to St Kilda. They have completely blanketed the midfield of the Dockers. Let me give you a stat. 28-11 the clearances. 28 for St Kilda, just 11 to the Dockers. So Justin Longmuir's got so much work to do, and I suspect Shea Bolton needs to be a big part of what happens in the midfield in the second half.
They'd be satisfied with their lead given the dominance St Kilda.
Well, that's the only downside. But having said that, 20 points feels like 45 or 50 the way the game's been played at the moment. But I would be very surprised if Longmuir doesn't get Bolton involved in the midfield in the second half, because he's got that breakaway from a stop. He's the explosive, the uncanny sidestep, something different that they need to try and energise their offence.
It's a difficult night for Fremantle. They've already lost their playmaker in Hayden Young out of the middle, and they've only managed 1 goal, and it's a night the analysts have got to do their best work. They'll tell you what and why and what's to come at halftime. The halftime show is next with Gary Browning, Bucks and Geordie. As we head to the break, a reminder that all the big winter sports, both home and abroad, are coming up in May on Fox.
Yeah, well, that's half-time, folks. Can you believe it? Half-time, 4-3-27, the Saints absolutely smashing the Dockers. Wow, they're only 20 points in front, but that's the way it looks. 1-1-7, I think that they said that's the lowest score the Dockers have kicked in about 30 years. 2 scoring shots in a half. Are they AFL football? Addy G, what's going on there? I tell you what, yeah, Freo, they didn't listen a quarter time to our advice. They need to start and move that forward line. I tell you what, especially when they're going in. The only time the Dockers got a goal was on a turnover. That was it. That was it. And that was early in the first quarter. But there you go. You know, I think the only thing you can be happy about with Fremantle is that they're only 20 points behind. They're only 20 points behind, and they've had nothing go their way so far. Everything has been, well, St Kilda's way, and I'll tell you what, the Dockers are lucky the Saints aren't further ahead. I think the Saints certainly look like they've been well on top of this game. Oh, I'll tell you what, yeah, they've got to do something to open up their forward line. That is for sure. The Saints definitely look a little bit better going inside forward 50 than the Dockers. I'm sure that will definitely be addressed in their halftime break there. It certainly needs to be for the Dockers to come out firing again, getting back to some of their game plan, the way they like to play. For mine, it looks like the Dockers, they're just not moving enough. There's just not much movement out there from the players. I don't know whether they just look a little bit flat-footed, a bit tired, or but the pressure, I tell you what, it should be a lot higher than what it is at the moment. St Kilda doing all the pressure work, etc. They look like they're out there to fight and win for this game. The Dockers look like they're sort of going through the motions a little bit, but that can change after half time And I'm sure it will because only 20 points down. You know, that's only a matter of 5 minutes, and they can rectify that score. All right, let's go and have a quick glance at the goal scorers. I tell you what, there's still not too many, is there? 5 goal scorers in the match. It's a low-scoring match, but I think you know what? I think the goals might start to flow a little bit in this second half. For the Dockers, let's go through all the Dockers goal scorers. Well, there you go, Hayden Young. That's as far as we have to go. 1 goal scorer, Hayden Young. That is it for Freo. For the Saints, Darcy Wilson, Mitch Owens, Bradley Hill, Jack Higgins. They are your goal scorers there. I wouldn't think the AFL fantasy points would be too high. Luke Ryan, though, tops the table with 70 points. If you played that game, Corey Wagner, 62. Both for Freo. Hugh Boxall, debut game going well for the Saints on 60. Disposal count. There we go. Still, it's a low disposal count from anyone. Of course, Wanganeen Miller, one of the stars there for the Saints, tops the table with 15, 12 kicks, 3 handballs, 6 marks, 2 clearances for the Saints. Of course, we've got 3 players all on 15. Jack McRae also for the Saints on 15. And Freo's Luke Ryan on 15. They are your leading disposal getters out on the ground so far. Jimmy Webster up to 12 there for the Saints. Bradley Hill on 11, 4 kicks, 7 handballs for his 1 goal. And there we go. All right, we'll come back to the stats in not too far away, but we're going to head back to the commentators. Let's see what their thoughts on the opening half.
This is a scoreline that you don't see too often on Friday night footy. It is half-time. St Kilda lead 4-3 to the Fremantle Football Club. 1 solitary goal, 1 point, their second lowest score since 1999, taking out the COVID year. Is it extraordinary? We've got the 3 best analysts in football, Jonathan Brown, Nathan Buckley, Jordan Lewis. We'll talk about St Kilda. We'll give them their dues. I think they've got this in a St Kilda game. Tell the people back in Perth that haven't been able to get here how their football club has managed to score 1 goal, 1.5 of football with a roof on.
Well, the big gun stars in the middle of the ground can't win the ball. So 28-11 the clearances. They're one of the best midfields in the competition against the midfield that's been absolutely blown off the park the last fortnight in St Kilda. So that's a real problem, and that's obviously hurting their territory.
And St Kilda's team defence has just absolutely disarmed whatever Freo have chucked at them, which is not much.
Like have they been bold or brave enough?
They've played really staid, really bland, boring footy, long down the line, and then they've been beaten every time. There's only one time when they were able to come off the line on a long kick that went to Tracy and ended up at a shot on goal. We just haven't seen enough adventure from the Freo back half, and they've had plenty of opportunity due to the clearance dominance.
Is this St Kilda's side spooked Fremantle? 67 points, we said pre-game, the average score in their last 5 outings. They're 1-1, Geordie, at half-time.
Yeah, so just to finish off the Fremantle conversation, I think when you watch them live, for me, they're too long. And what I mean by that is when they've got ball in hand, all their options are 50, 60 metres away, so you can't break the layers of defence. What I would like to see is the midfielders and half-back probing those 45s to break those layers of defence.
Right, let's have a look at St Kilda and pay them their credit and their dues, because they've been able to get this in a St Kilda sort of game, boys. Have a look at these numbers.
Well, that's a smashing. I mean, the ground ball gets, first of all, the clearances. So you're winning territory. And the first quarter was an absolute domination.
Centre bounce as well.
Exactly. So in the end, you're playing the game in your front half, which is exactly what the Saints haven't been able to do for the last month. And now we see then the ground ball comes in. Like then your defenders like Wanganeen Miller, Sinclair, those boys get to play on their front foot, and Fremantle just haven't been able to bounce back at all to challenge St Kilda's defence.
7th best ground ball gets opening half on record. Make sense of that, Geordie. What's that tell us?
Well, they're just going one-on-one. So even in the centre bounce, they are going one-on-one. So Fremantle, the 2 ruckmen are blitzing in the hit-outs, but they're just not getting the ground level. So St Kilda have gone, okay, we can't get it proactive around the stoppages. Let's just go one-on-one and just beat them physically. Those numbers reflect that.
So all of a sudden they haven't had any territory over the last 4 rounds of footy. So they can't get it in their front half. They can't keep it in their front half. Worst team in the competition for territory. And look at it tonight.
Yeah, last week 24-6 in that first quarter against the Lions. They just couldn't get their hands on the ball. So, as we said, 6-1 at centre bounce. That helps, doesn't it? Because straight away you set up early in the play, and then defensively, they've been very good as well. Their pressure's been really high. They've really applied themselves defensively, as you would have expected after a couple more weeks.
You can sense there's some frustrations out there from a Fremantle point of view trying to move the ball. So they couldn't score in the first quarter, so they come out in the second quarter and they take risks. And this is where St Kilda sit back and they feed off that. Okay, we've been really good defensively in the first quarter. This is Tracy, so he just takes off. So there's clearly been instruction at quarter time. We need to take the game on. We need to go to the open side. What this creates is it creates opportunity for St Kilda. So if your turnover game is strong, you get numbers around the contest, you make good decisions going the other way. This is part of the reason why Fremantle have probably been so boring in offence.
But the irony of all of that is they need to do exactly what Tracy did.
Yeah.
But they just got to hit that method. You've got to hit that target to go to Switkowski. You're right. And there needs to be some effort. You haven't seen any short pass and then a handball receive anywhere in the back half from Freo. As you said, the midfielders need to come back towards the ball so they can be involved in the run out. And the other thing is, when have we seen Freo chain out of a contest?
Not by hands.
Because St Kilda have been so good inside to control not only the inside space, but whatever the exits are. They've absolutely controlled it.
They've taken away the want to even try it. And then this Hugo Garcia. So we go last week. What does last week mean for Ross Lyon? Subs Hugo Garcia off halfway through the quarter. Embarrassing. He got criticised for it. No, it's not. There's method in the madness. Because this is the response you get. So don't go whinging about a coach taking a young man to task for whatever reason he knows about. I reckon Ross Lyon knows what he's doing when he subs, and then you get that response from Hugo Garcia.
And he would know the kid as well. And obviously the kid's made a good stuff. So he responds with an action like that because, like Ross said, I just coach the actions. So clearly Garcia is a good type. He spoke about him during the week. But he's got to bring that consistently, like the rest of his teammates, and they have done that in the first half. It was really good, wasn't it?
4 goals.
Our elevated view of their effort was fantastic.
4 goals hard to come by. So goals hard to come by, 4-1. So game not beyond reach. So 1 goal still blows my mind.
I think that's the positive nature in which Fremantle need to go into half time with. They're only 20 points behind that, and then they have not played a minute of good football.
So the Darcy Wilson goal. So these are things that are hard to come by too for the St Kilda Football Club. But when they've had an opportunity, turn it over in their front half. Look how high they're trying to get. Tracy's trying to get up and get involved. A little composure along the way.
He just reads. He's quicker than the other Fremantle players in and around that contest. So just slides down, gets aggressive with his deep inside forward 50. So once again, you've got to take your opportunities. The Owens goal and this goal here were two goals that we haven't seen much of tonight.
You cannot hide. Fremantle stars cannot hide because you are here for a reason. You are representing this football club, and the bottom line is Sarong and Brayshaw have been doing it for a long, long time. Bolton's just joined the party. They need some support.
And Young is out injured.
Yeah, he's off with the big. So we see Ross Lyon last week against Garcia. You would hope that Longmuir, inside this Fremantle change rooms, is going straight to his leaders in front of the whole group. So everyone knows the standards that need to be in the second half. So that's a poor leadership game in the first half by those boys.
Outside of the midfield and the clearances, St Kilda just a little bit better than Freo everywhere. A little bit better in offence, a little bit better in defence, a little bit better in the D50, a little bit better than forward 50. But in the midfield, they're getting smashed. So that's enough to give them field position. So St Kilda haven't been good enough to put 7, 8, 9 goals on the board. Freo have defended all right. Cox and Ryan have stood up and thankfully, because they've held back the tide a little, but they just haven't been able to get anything on offence.
And then when Fremantle have had a look inside forward 50, they just haven't been able to connect. So
connect's been poor. They've kicked us so many 2-on-1s, 3v1s, but you're right, credit to them because they've charged back.
They absorb so much pressure. I mean, they absorb so much ball coming inside 50, yet they've given up a goal. I think that's got to be given huge credit. Because we're staggered with Fremantle. Let's not forget what's happening on the other side of the ball here from a St Kilda Footy Club point of view. So that's where it sits right now from a Fremantle Footy Club. And all of the questions have been asked about Fremantle leading up to this game are being asked again right now. And the good thing, the best thing for that football club is they've got to have to do something about it. And they've got to get over the top of this St Kilda side of being able to do it. So this is what they have not.
They need to explode. Yeah, you're right. They need to explode from contest. So this was probably the only play where you could really say they handball chain from half back, Browning.
Yeah, it was. No doubt about it. And they look good. And we saw this last week so many times against Adelaide in that first 3 quarters. They just have not seen it tonight. Combination of their poor execution also St Kilda's pressure.
But once again, we'll keep talking about it. The person with the ball in hand needs to have numbers around him to either handball or short kick to break the lines.
Well, they're a 1-for-1 team, aren't they? Today they're about 1.5. So clearly the way they want to play in their ball movement is out of whack.
It is, and they got no Hayden Young, who's out. Let's go to John Ralph. Ralphie, what can you tell us?
This is an unmitigated disaster. I don't have to tell you how good this player is, but more to the point, the injury history across the last 3 months. So a early February hamstring concern for him. Then he came back in late February. He did it again. We didn't see him again for 6 weeks. So here's the incident trying to tackle Liam O'Connell. And so you'd imagine we might not see him again for another 6 or 7 weeks. We might not see him again till around 14. It is a disaster, as I say. Jeremy Sharp was forced off the ground for an HIA. He was able to return. This is the incident. It looked really nasty, but the AFL spotter and the Freo doctor would have wanted him to come back off. He got that 5-minute HIA and was able to return to the ground. And Liam Stocker here has been past fitter, but not before. Well, one of the first implementations of this new AFL rule are revealed in February. So when players are not able to get off the ground, the St Kilda or AFL official is able to ask the match day official. They tell the umpires, and as you saw there, they stopped play at the nearest stoppage or the next stoppage. Then Liam was able to get off the field, so he was cleared of concussion again. But we saw that last year with Jeremy Cameron being tailed around by a Geelong doctor. It was borderline farcical. Well done the AFL to implementing that new rule, and it certainly stood up to muster in one of the first times we've seen it this season.
100%, Ralphie. Well done. Thanks for that. We'll hear from you after the game for Industry Super Funds. What are we looking forward to in this second half?
Got to inject Shea Bolton into the game. Liam Stocker's doing a fantastic job. He's only had the 5 disposals. He's got a negative rating, Shea Bolton. He dominated last week. We gave him the biggest pump up of all time pre-game, didn't we, about his form the last few weeks. He's got to be in and around the ball, and he's got to have an influence in this second half.
Yeah, and at the moment he's relying, and as an outside player usually does, relies on the blokes inside to give a hard contest so that you actually can get some ball outside
Get that
with a bit of broken play.
Yeah.
Fremantle have not been able to put any speed on the ball. They haven't been able to run out of a clearance or a contest. That'll give Bolton an opportunity.
In one word, will they hit back hard here, Fremantle?
Yes.
Nathan?
I can't.
One word.
No, I don't see the energy.
The Saints, they lead 20 points half-time. Back with all the second half action after this.
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox. Brought to you by Industry Super Funds.
All right, let's get back to the stats. That was a little bit of wrap-up of the analysis of the special commentators there. Let's just quickly head back and have a look at the stats up until half-time. Alex Pearce, there's a good one to have a look. Just the 9 disposals there. 4 Freo, 2 kicks, 7 handballs, couple of clearances for him. Mitch Owen's on 9 there for the Saints. We'll just roll on down. Jack Steele, on 8. Same with Liam Stoker. There we go. Jeremy Sharp, Luke Jackson, all on 8, with Brennan Cox on 8 also for the Freo. Caleb Sarong, he's having a quiet game, isn't he? Look at that, just the 7 touches, 1 kick, 6 handballs. He's had 3 tackles, 2 clearances. He needs to really lift for this Freo side to get back in. Frederick, also a little bit quiet, 5 touches, 3 kicks, just the 1 behind. Shea Bolton, well, he is absolutely gone missing for Freo in this game. Of course, Josh Tracy just with a 4, 2 and 2, no score. Team stats, let's have a little bit of a look at the team stats. There we go, plus 27 do the Saints, the kicks, plus 17, plus 12 in the handballs, inside 50s. Both teams, although Freo are well under, look at that, 23 inside 50s for half of football, not much at all. Season average 54, they're both low. 48 is the average for the Saints, they're above that. But still, that is quite low for both teams. 30 inside 50s for St Kilda for only 7 scoring shots. They need to do better in that aspect as well. Of course, as I said, I think both defences flooding back a little bit, making it hard. Both teams, they're not really lowering their eyes, even put that, as I said, put that shorter kick in, try and hit up a target even 40 out to give themselves an opportunity. But that being said, St Kilda do look a little bit more dangerous going inside 50 than the Dockers. Dockers inside 50 23 times, 2 scoring shots. Let's have a look at their efficiency inside 50, 30 and 13%. Yeah, that's super duper low. Wow, wee. Disposal efficiency, 67. That's a bit low there for the Saints. A little bit surprised at that, 73 for the Dockers. Free kicks, the umpires having a bit of a field day again out there. 27 free kicks all told in today's game, 14-13, which is pretty even. So nothing much to worry about that. The hit-outs, Dockers winning that by 9. The clearances, though, St Kilda doing the damage. Clearances 27-11. Holy Toledo, centre clearances. The Dockers just can't get their hands on the ball. 6-1, St Kilda dominating out of the centre square. Stoppage clearances, as the same. The Saints well on top, 21-10. Contested possessions, it shows you just what we were saying. St Kilda going in hard for the ball. They look like they're coming out to play. The Dockers, well, they look like they're on a picnic out there, half of their plays. 59, as I said, they need to lift. They need to bring a little bit more pressure in this game. Uncontested, the Saints up there. The marks, or the Dockers a little bit more. Marks inside 50. Dockers finally got one. Contested marks, well, the Dockers a little bit stronger in the air than the Saints. Quickly going to the tackle count, really isn't the same. Dockers tackling good though in their defensive 50, inside 50. Anyway, let's get back down to the ground. It's the Saints by 20 as we go to the bounce of the ball for the third quarter.
But the remainder of this game, they'll have to do it without him. Centre bounce. Darcy pitted against Marshall. And reaches over the top. It's Sarong's feet. McRae. Steele. Johnson came charging in. Umpire splits them. And then they all start to converge, getting a little closer to the ball up. Marshall has a couple of goes at it. There's just no room at all for Sarong. They have not left the centre yet. Third attempt. Marshall. Kick out of the air. McRae made a better fist of it. Hall leads the pursuit. He's got a bit of time and space. And then Higgins, whose opponent went up to the footy. Maybe a kick would have been better method than a handball. Instead, Ryan turns it Fremantle's way. Sharp to half forward. Tracy and Wilkie. Tracy, 1 but not 2. Wilkie took a wrong turn, ran straight into Jackson. Clogged up. Sikowski to the inside to Brayshaw. But as we saw all through the first half, as soon as one of their prime movers win the footy, they have got no way out, no way forward. Brayshaw has copped that several times tonight.
He has. He had time to throw it on the boot and get it forward, but he chose to try and create something.
Stocker still in the fray, as Ralphie told us at half-time. Not his best kick. Narkle suiting up for his third club. He's on as the sub. Switkowski looking for the overlap run. Johnson provides it into a dead end, so it's a bit of a limp hand pass, and Brayshaw knocked off it again. Wanganeen Miller up. The give and go with Wilkie. And now he strides into some space and rolls out the barrel. Wants the carry for Higgins. A lot going on in that contest with Ryan. Ryan's running to the boundary. Kept it in. Chapman caught. Mugged. Gone.
Gee, they're making some errors, the Dockers. That was an extraordinary inside 50 from Johnson. He was like a deer in the headlights. Didn't throw it on the boot. Just handballed it to the grass, basically to the advantage of the Saints. And when you get Chapman stepping back into traffic there.
Hall gives the high flyers a look. Off the hands of Darcy, who then grapples for it underneath with Caminiti. Draper, Ryan, he's got to get out. He did. And sends it down the line. Jackson against a couple. Webster, he's marked most of those tonight. Still got it. Hall, desperate to get it back to him. Webster into the sharp tackle. He'll be happy for a ball up.
So they're going to try and see whether there's any change, Jason, the way they go about it. Because if St Kilda continue, they are happy to play in this. They'll play and win 8 goals to 2 very happily.
And their press has been great. And these errors just keep playing into that pressure from the Dockers.
Advantage. Free kick to Amos, and it's Clark who has the responsibility. Frederick gives him the path across the ground. The fickle bounce. Favoured Higgins. Clobbered. Wow. Free kick. Yeah, it's coming back. Out of zone umpire.
2 umpires didn't give that free kick, Hutto. The out of zone umpire did.
Higgins winds up. It's not so good when he's got the goals directly at him and he has to kick a more traditional kick.
Too easy. He's had a couple of rush long shots there. But So ball movement for Freo is what we're looking at right now. Can they be bold and brave?
Well, there's a couple of exhibits for you. Johnson, beautifully. Searing ball out for Amos. A horrible for Sharp. And again, so far from pure.
So the moment Amos misses the hand pass, they lose all advantage they had of the 2-on-1.
But even that mark there, he gets it, goes straight back and slowly back. I mean, the squared kick was on. They're going to keep this thing in motion.
Well, they are the slowest team with the footy, champion in measuring that this year. When they pick the ball up, they consider what they're going to do more than any other team. The handballs are chained through the middle to Hill and Wanganeen Miller, and now to Webster. Good progression, just tipped over Frederick. Windhager, goals or handball, he hesitated. And then Hall was diving off the high board, and he doesn't get the free. Brayshaw spots Markle, and it's Fremantle's turn.
A bit of open play. Get inboard, see what might come of it. Sarong, Ryan, confronted, retreating. It's hit a bit of a task for Chapman, who handled it pretty well. Took the territory. Switkowski engaged with Hill. Secured a free kick.
Again, how laboured. I mean, they have been scoring off back half this year, Fremantle, but it doesn't look like it right now. And so you have to give credit to St Kilda and the way they're defending.
And every time the Dockers do play on, they play on into trouble. There are St Kilda players waiting to apply the pressure.
Wilkie meanders through the defensive area and pumps it for Marshall, who's got company clattered into by Draper. Having the ball paid against Draper. They like the push in the back plate, I reckon. Gonna cock your shoulder and run into a bloke. Steele up to half forward. Hall waited it for come. Did ever so well. And there too, just patient in the build-up. McRae. Owens has got a leading pattern going. That will be honoured.
Well, Luke Ryan's looking around. He's going, how am I supposed to pick up two blokes? He had Shaman, he had Owens. He couldn't get them both. They're at 6s and 7s, the Dockers' defence. And an opportunity now, if they can take some of these chances and just continue to put the scoreboard pressure on the Dockers, they can break them, the Saints.
Kicked a goal in the second term, Mitch Owens, after being goalless last week. 12 for the season to this moment. And he has been fiercely accurate. Tough shot. Mitch Owens got under it. So it's still to be dealt with, and dealt with supremely by Shaman.
That was the leap. That just looked like a superior vertical leap to everybody around him, with the arms reaching up to the highest point. And this should be a certain goal for the Saints. And now all of a sudden, you're looking at Freo going, well, they might just be broken.
This is the best way from point-blank range. Cooper Shaman builds St Kilda's lead. In a low-scoring tussle, it's 26 points.
We've seen nothing different so far, guys.
No, and this is the thing, Jace. Sometimes, although there's no indication that St Kilda are going to let up, and that's the best thing of all. But this is now at the stage where it's embarrassing, and the longer it goes, the more embarrassing it gets, and that can prompt one of two reactions. You go into your shell and you start worrying about the fallout, the papers and the rain and the me, or you get a response. I can't speak highly enough of how St Kilda have got this game exactly how they want it and how they've strangled Fremantle, but how meekly Fremantle have accepted it. There hasn't been one indication that they want to change the way this game's been played.
Bolton into the middle of the ground for this stoppage.
And the ball almost went to him from the umpire, so that'll require a rebalance.
Just to remind everyone, 4 minutes into the first quarter was the Hayden Young goal. Not one since.
Darcy knocks it forward, trying to create a path to goal, perhaps for Sarong, but immediately he's over the footy there, over him, diligent to the job. Buxwell and Garcia in tandem. Sarong frustrated. Marshall knocks it at all their feet. Bending over, except Garcia beat them to the punch. Pearce, Collard is a couple of metres behind and closing. Pearce looking for the safety of the boundary line with a whistle from the umpire, and he gets it in his favour.
They cannot buy a stoppage. The Dockers 28-12.
Jeez, that's extraordinary.
29 now after that last one.
Along the city wing, Amos, there's your full forward. Instead of half forward up, trying to take a mark at half back. Higgins and Malia are prepared to give up ground a substantial amount to Wilkie, but no matter because they are controlling the footy and they are controlling the outcome of the game at the moment. Windhager a little more aggressive. He's kicked to a 2-on-1 against, but it got through the cracks to Hill, and now Sinclair, bit of a standoff, moment of hesitation. Burns his left foot trusted. Hard for Collard, the fist from Pearce. Could be a mark. Claimed it and got it.
Tapman's call. And that level of appeal to get it.
So he's going to kick it into an area of the ground where St Kilda has scored 25 points from intercepts in the midfield to one solitary point for Freo.
They converse from all angles. Reed gets it going. Tracy or Narkle with a passage forward. Bolton, can he conjure something? Works the hand pass inboard. Brayshaw gives them a look. Amos! Not to be, but Dudley will. The Dockers finally have their second.
It's amazing what happens when you get some quick ball forward, and it ended up with a 2-on-2 up forward. Amos good enough to draw both of them in and fly. Allowed Dudley to stay down and kick the goal. It wasn't pretty, Gaz, but at least it was efficiently fast to get the ball and give the forwards an opportunity.
And you know what, Jason, this is the crazy thing about this, is they're not out of the game. As poor as they've been in all these different areas, that's just a bad mistake. Who's playing on Dudley? Was it the young man there, O'Connor, was it? They had to go back there. But 20 points. Now, in the normal flow of this season, 20 points can be eradicated in the blink of an eye. The challenge here is the Freo kick 2 goals. So let's just see whether it can spark something.
We'll see soon enough. Dudley making an impact in his first season at AFL level. Living out a dream, he said.
Winning a centre clearance at Hutto. It's 6-1 in favour of St Kilda.
The coach has come down to the bench to get closer to his men. He'll all draw at the ruck contest. When unwhistled, McRae dug it out to Higgins. Found a friendly face in Hill, and then McRae again. Shaman looms. Draper all at sea, and Shaman knew where it was going to land. He didn't let it.
These clearance numbers are staggering. I haven't seen it that lopsided. 30-12. That doesn't happen in modern day football because there's too much quality in the midfields on every team. They can't draw the footy.
They can't. But what St Kilda got to do, Jace, is now start scoring from it. The dominance is just off the charts, yet they've only kicked the 1 goal from stoppage. So they've got to start to cash in.
Kicked a career-high 4 goals against Fremantle in his 4th career game. That's what we got to know about Cooper Shaman. He's the first multiple goal kicker, and the Saints' response will increase the headache of Justin Ormia.
Well, it comes back into the middle of the ground again, and this is where the Saints are most comfortable from a clearance point of view. So it was a secondary ball up, and out they come, out the front again. Ugly kick. That's just what can happen sometimes, but Bradley Hill's been busy all night. Ball comes through. 7 clearances now for Jack McRae, who's just having an impact on the contest. I just watched Josh Tracy come into the ground and grab Luke Jackson by the scruff of the jumper. So he's had enough. And from a forward's point of view, they haven't been able to contribute either. But when you're sitting back watching it, you just keep getting smashed in the middle of the ground.
Justin Longmuir's got the front row seats. Bolton, Ryan, and just off screen, Darcy and Brayshaw. He's been talking turkey with them. Another clearance coming for the Saints.
7-1 out of the middle.
No one knew whose free kick that was then.
Owens to steal, got out of a tight spot. Owens just punts it in. Give them a look. He's brilliant.
They kicked 2 goals and the ball come from defensive 50, Jared, so this is their best chance.
Gee, that's a monster intercept, Mark. That's enormous.
It's a long way back, albeit from your defensive goal square.
Got to lead them out of trouble. Tracy's the long target. Swaggening Miller up. Read it ever so well. Search for a target. Playing around the perimeter for McRae. Not quite to the launch pad. They would like the 1 link up, but it might just have to go in. Not particularly well, though, as Frederick fills the hole.
So if they get some speed on the footy, there's just no urgency. It comes back down the line to Josh Tracy long to probably a 2-on-1 again.
That's precisely what's transpired. Tracy lost his foot in at the wrong time. Wilkie has towed it out near McRae. Was in a headlock, still committed himself to it. It's stacks on.
He'll realise the gravity of the situation. Taking counsel from some of his lead players about what is going on out there. Darcy resting as well as Bolton and Brayshaw and Ryan. At close quarters at restarts. Clark trying to sweep in, but ran straight into 3 Saints. One of them Burns. Scrambles at 40. It might bounce 50. And suddenly surging is Boxall going hard. Draper, though, does what he needed to with winning it. Not so with a handball that was loose. And there's more mayhem to deal with. Draper scrounges the kick along, just buying some time. Hill plays it back perfectly to Burns. And they are all at sea, Fremantle. Burns doesn't seem confident. Not a noted goal kicker.
I know it might sound boring, but plus 20 in clearance.
It's extraordinary.
They're headed for one of their best ever clearance games in their history.
1 goal, 1 for the year, Ryan Burns. Normally a role player. Steps up from 50. It is close. Not close enough, as you were saying. Owens tries to keep it alive. He might have hit the behind post there. Insufficient intent.
Well, it had to be. It's a clear hand pass out of bounds. So if the defensive team had done that, it's a free kick. So it makes common sense that it should be a free kick against St Kilda as well if they do.
And there's your overrule from an umpiring point of view. The close umpire wasn't going to play that.
Clark thumps it long. Familiar pack. Wilkie, familiar story as he punches it out of the hands of Tracy.
He's getting frustrated, Josh Tracy, because the only look he's getting at the footy is in a pack of 6 people every time on a long bomb kick.
And outnumber, there's the free kick too. For I don't know what Mitch Owens was claiming he was going to try to do there.
Steele, another clearance for the Saints. High ball to get after. Tammany disrupted the pack ever so well. Works it around. Wilson caressed it. And he set Windhager up for the shot.
So you can go on repeat, clearance, contest in the air, win ground ball, hit target, goal. Rinse and repeat. They're the areas that they're dominating. You can throw contested possession in as well if you want.
Kicked a couple in St Kilda's win over Geelong. And powerful lad, averaging 21 per game this year. Marcus Windhager just wouldn't hold at the right-hand post.
The contested possession count, I have to double check it, 71 to 104.
Yeah, there are no numbers that reflect well on the Dockers and no numbers that suggest they're going to get back into the contest.
Clark targets Cox, so this does create some freestyle on the outer wing. Dudley, just a little pop kick with Kowski.
Well read.
Did read it well, and he had good support in Wilkie and Stocker and Wilson. And they gang up off half-back. Long kick goes down the line. And over and out with the bit of Webster. And now a throw-in. And Bolton the close here to Ross Lyon. It's the players who Justin Longmuir is conversing with at the moment.
Now, can he get a response? Can Justin Longmuir get a response from his group?
Gray just patters it back nicely for Hill. Sharp. Darcy. Howard versus Jackson. Marshall. Jackson. Big strides. Through Wagner and Clark. And now Brayshaw. A little better, a little more systematic. Swikowski. Reed leads into the pocket. He goes for him, and he almost got it. He's got a free. All the mark. He's paid the mark. Stocker shakes his head in absolute dismay.
Hard way to get your shots. And control that all the way down. That might be a first-year player balance leniency there.
And he kicked those 4 goals straight on debut. Since then, 4 goals, 8 for Murphy Reid.
It's their second inside 50 mark for the game.
And if ever a team needs something from a gifted youngster, it's here, and it's now, and it's not far off. Oh, big fly from Bolton on the line. It's Matty Lapham-like on the goals all those years ago at the MCG.
So Reid and Frederick have taken marks inside forward 50 for the Dockers. Nowhere to be seen. Tracy, Amos, Darcy or Jackson. Credit to the defence.
Magdalene Miller spent a long time setting the field up, and he's kicked for Owens, who came up at him. Had support on the outside, brought it inside instead. Webster puts it in front of Higgins. He'll race up to it with Chapman right on him. Wilson arrived, squares the contest. Sharp sees it over. 26-point margin, and we're ticking toward time onto the third term.
2 goals to a team that had great aspirations for this year. 2 goals, Jared, in a Friday night footy match.
It's confounding. Against Wagner, he saw as clearly as we did Boxall. This will add to the clearance counts. The debutants gives the forwards a look. Owens coming from a fair way back. Pushed Pearce forward. Open it up for Higgins, running the tight line. Collard! Higgins created. Collard finished it. The Saints have a 52-point lead.
The damn wall has to burst eventually, doesn't it? When you're starting to dominate territory. Was it now 42 to 26, the inside 50s? And we've spoken ad nauseum about the clearances. 34 to 13. I don't care how good your defence is. Eventually you're going to crack. Eventually the opposition's going to kick some goals. It had to come.
The ground ball stuff's been great. So the contested marking game has been Fremantle's, but it hasn't concerned St Kilda at all. So they don't care if they don't mark it. They just get at the ground and they go to work. You can't give them enough credit, St Kilda, for coming into the game off the back of the game that they had last week. The way the coach reacted and responded, and then you want a response, because if you don't get the response, where do you go to next? Ross Lyon's got the response. Justin Longy's got to try and find a response, because they are as listless as you've seen them for a long time.
The coach's spray will be back in vogue after this week. Free kick to the Dockers. They get centre clearance. So wrong. It's high. And it's all St Kilda. Sinclair could step in knowing he had protection. Was well organised again. Cut off at the pass. Wilkie, who provided that protection, then provides the avenue out from defence. Up towards the wing. It was slightly ill-directed. Chapman, though, was just sitting there for Higgins. They put the tackle on and wins another free. With relish. Saints lead is 32. And now the clock and the time becomes an enemy for Fremantle. Get close to three-quarter time. Sinclair and Wilkie. Saints looking to surge again. Collard fresh from the last goal. It's got Marshall deep. He's the sizeable target.
Free kick, Marshall.
Wow, it is unravelling before our eyes.
No, they just didn't want to stay in the contest on that occasion, Sean Darcy.
It's a relentless territory domination.
Well,
eventually you have to succumb.
You still want to fight to the end here. You can't just grab and this is a bit of a mentality that's sneaking in. That's just not Sean Darcy, by the way. That is across the board. I give Alex Pearce a tick, and that's about it at the moment.
2 goals, 2 for the year for Roland Marshall coming in, but he is usually one of the better ruckmen when it comes to getting forward, taking a mark or getting a free and converting. And I apologise as he misses to the left.
Still the game high lead at 33. Ryan Pearce bounded into ground for him, but the kick was just a fraction wide. Pearce could do little about it.
So they lost all shape ahead of the footy. Looks like Bolton's going to go inside 50 with Stocker and be one out. But they can't win this clearance to get it in there and try and get something happening.
Marshall worked his way around. Warner, though, out the side. It's the hospital hand pass to Sharp.
So at what point, Gaz, when things are going horribly wrong, where does the elastic break between backing your players in, who you've got great confidence and faith in, and then making systematic change to the way you're going about it and where players are playing?
Well, to me, it looks highly unlikely it's happening in-game here, right now, doesn't it?
Or is it suggesting that there are no other options?
No, well, I mean, Ross, it happened for Ross last week. The elastic broke early, and he went at him, didn't change in-game, but it changed the next week, clearly. I don't know. This is, aside from Fremantle's point of view, got more talent, you'd think, and that means nothing.
Sarong blasted it forward, but Saints surrounded the footy. Howard got caught by Dudley, who's trying hard.
And if you're a St Kilda fan, this is the other way you look upon it. You come here tonight and you go, right, what is going to be the response? You're sitting there, it hasn't been pretty, but you're probably enjoying it as much as any game you've seen this year. It's built on just grunt.
Darcy is going to kick to full forward. See if they get Jackson into it. Almost, not quite. Dudley squeezed to kick out. Not to be. Up to 32.
Wasn't far off bringing that down.
Yeah.
Luke Jackson.
He thought he might have held it long enough, and it was close.
This will be 50. Amos moving on the mark. And Howard takes off. He's had a hard time tonight just staying out there. Takes the hand pass, gave it off to Sinclair. And suddenly the Saints are attacking. Caminiti and Marshall both form up. Draper at the last minute, a handball to Warner. Into Sharp, up against the line. Didn't want to take a rush kick. Dropped the ball, Hall and Hill. A host of Dockers. Wagner tackled immediately by Garcia. As we've seen on repeat all night.
There's no denying they've been out-toughed, Fremantle. That's the embarrassing thing. He just takes off Andrew Brayshaw when he been told to stand, I suspect.
Garcia, a tumbler to the square. A bounce for Caminiti, Shaman, somewhere in between. Shaman, already kicked to this corner, and he's just topped that. What a kick! It's one of those nights. Miracles are happening for the Saints. Shaman's filling his boots, he's kicked 3. And they lead by 38 points. Fremantle cannot buy a goal. And the Saints are kicking them like this.
I want to see the celebration again because I think it's very, very good. I think he reacts to the crowd because he surprises himself here. He threads the needle for an impossible position. Not great desperation shown by Josh Draper defensively. And I hope they get a shot of the celebration. We've just missed it there. He goes to the crowd, puts his hands on his head and going, oh my goodness, did I really do that? Really good look at it here. Holy cow, is that what I just did?
Yeah.
That's good.
I love that. That Draper effort there is just not, it's subpar. And that's
no desperation.
No, we'll have a look at that again. That is just not on.
Garcia coming through the front, shares it with Hills, steers it for Caminiti, hand in there by Ryan. Owens is circling. Cox held his nerve. Confronted, wants support. Pearce on the spot. They are deer in the headlights at the moment. Sarong, it's a kick and hope. Sharp turned in, couldn't take the mark. Saints threatened again. Batted away by Ryan to Johnson to Sharp. Desperate to get out of half back, but it's a straight turnover. Wilkie. It must get ever more dispiriting. Feels like they spent the whole night in check. All around the board and everywhere they go, they're in check from the team in black. Manganine, Miller and Marshall. Windhager goes up the line. The kicker's going to go a little further than that. Hall presents. Hand it to his chest under pressure from Chapman. Time enough to conjure yet more. 4 goals to 1 in this term. St Kilda are stretched to breaking point and beyond. It's not Hall's best, although Caminiti makes it okay. You're right, Hutto. Everything is just turning St Kilda's way. So to the hot spot they go. Shaman!
He wants to play against St Kilda for forever.
It's forever. He's actually leading Fremantle. He is 3 goals straight. They are 2 goals, 3-15, and he's about to increase his lead.
He is playing like a man possessed. The ability to run and jump at the footy.
What a quarter he is having. On the air, in the air, on the ground. He's taken 7 marks. Cooper Shaman to complete the quarter in this third term. It was all too good to be true.
Oh, what a letdown. I was going to go all the way back to when the Dockers had the ball deep in defence. It was Cox and Pearce. Every time they found a player, he was immediately under pressure. And then it ends up in the intercept mark with Wilkie down the other end. Then they bring it back out the other side, all the way down to Fashion, a shot for goal. They are controlling everything.
It is just continuing to be dominated by St Kilda. That man, Cooper Shaman, 3 goals, should have been 4. And they have opened up a 39-point lead at the last change. Fremantle have managed to make it 2 goals. That's right, 2 goals. It's not quarter time, it's 3/4 time. There are places in the 8. Who wants them? Seems like Freo doesn't, but the Bulldogs and Port will be finding it out tomorrow on Fox Footy. Super Saturday Live coming your way.
Well, I tell you what, folks, what can you say? Lee, I didn't think Fremantle was this bad. You know what? Either did I. As I was saying, Eddie, gee, I think this is just one of those games the Fremantle's having. I think a lot of teams can just have these type of games where they get absolutely crunched all around the ground. You know, it happened to Hawthorn not long ago. It happened to Collingwood in round 1. It happens to the best of the sides. Fremantle, they're just going through their paces out there. I think Fremantle will be celebrating just as much as St Kilda at the end of the game, because the final siren, Fremantle, they're looking for it already. St Kilda looking really good, stretching their lead. 4 goals, 3 in that third term. The only good thing for Fremantle Dockers, in the third term, they more than doubled their score. They put on 1 goal, 2. There we go. I know it's a little bit sad, but this is a thing with Fremantle, though, folks. They can play at home, but you've got to learn to play away. Maybe Marvel Stadium just isn't their ground, and just as well, that's where the big matches aren't normally played. Of course, the MCG's where that played, but of course, tonight, Marvel Stadium. St Kilda plays Marvel Stadium pretty well. Don't worry about that. And St Kilda, certainly after last week's performance, certainly copped that big rev up, and they've definitely responded. So it'll be interesting. I thought Bolton would have helped the team to get more goals because he's played there more. Maybe it's just not happening. Fremantle just seem to be bombing the ball down there, which is not good. Whereas if you have a look at St Kilda, they actually had a few leading targets in there and found those targets, where Fremantle, they've really struggled to do that. The only one I can remember was from that turnover. Where was that? That was, my gosh, I can't even remember. It was that long ago. It could have been the first quarter, somewhere there, or the third quarter. There's not many goals. There's only 2 goals there for the Dockers. But you know what will be interesting? I think if you're a Freo supporter, I think, you know what, don't worry too much about this game. All teams go through this here and there. They do have that game where they just look totally flat. Nothing's going right for Fremantle, no matter what they're doing. It seems that St Kilda are a step ahead of the game in every aspect. St Kilda's hard running and chase, their pressure has been certainly on top of their game today. Fremantle, well, I tell you what, Pearce down there, he was the only one that was doing much down their defence. The rest, I think they are definitely looking for the final siren, and that was well before 3/4 time. Let's just jump on over, have a look at the player stats anyway, the goal scorers for the game. Cooper Shaman there for the Saints had a fantastic third term. He's kicked 3 goals, 1 now off his 8 kicks, doing really well, looks good in the air. And of course, we saw one of the goals of the season in that third term as well. Hayden Young, I should say Darcy Wilson, Owens, Bradley Hill, Jack Higgins, Lance Collard are the other single goal scorers for the Saints. And of course, for Freo. Just 2 lonely goal scorers. Yeah, Isaiah Dudley, Hayden Young. Disposal getters, let's just give you a quick, let me just roll this down. Disposals here, just look down that line, you'll see Wanganeen Miller up tops the table with 23, Jack McRae 22 for the Saints. Luke Ryan continues to head up for Freo with 20. There we go, Bradley Hill's actually having a great game. You'd have to stick him in the votes for today's game so far. I think he's been instrumental directing a little bit of traffic. He's done really well that I've seen. And of course, certainly for Alex Pearce, holding up reasonably good there in that third term for Freo down back. He looked like the shining light down back, if there is one in this game. Of course, the big guns for Fremantle, they are just, yeah, I don't know. They're not in this game at all. Caleb Sarong, Andy Brayshaw, players like that, they're just not around to be seen, not having any impact on the game at all, and not doing absolutely anything. And of course, Shai Bolton, who's had a pretty good start to his season so far, just a 6. He's just been well out of it. Longmuir first coach sacked, disgraceful performance, no B plan. Tell you what, it's always hard when you haven't got the cattle on the field. Although at times they do look reasonably well, Aaron, they do look reasonably well, Freo. But putting 4 quarters together has always been a little bit of trouble, I think, for this team. They do probably lack a couple of quality players. And from mine, they never do travel well down to Melbourne. So that's one thing they've got to get put in their kit bag, is to try and get that aspect of their game up and running as well. I can't see how the St Kilda's going to lose this match from here. They've dominated from go to woe. They've looked impressive. Finally, St Kilda took their chances. They actually got a few goals in that third term and just about break the Fremantle Dockers' hearts. Well, let's hope for the Freo fans the Dockers can actually do something, put on a few goals here, but I can't see St Kilda taking its foot off the pedal. This could be a blowout game, and we'll just have to wait and see. All right, let's head back down to the ground for the final term. Tell you what, it's the Saints by 39.
Centre square here, so you've got Darcy in the ruck, and Jackson will play as a big on-baller.
Well, 8-2 out of the centre, you've got to try something. This will tell us a bit about Fremantle. We've found out plenty about the Saints, and they love a scrap, and they've responded to their coach.
Saints by 39 on a night to reveal character. Marshall gives the Saints first look. Steele, Garcia.
St Kilda. Jack Steele.
So another centre clearance coming St Kilda's way. Sinclair on the wraparound. Just darts it out the side rather than drifting to a contest, and Wilkie under the breastbone of McRae. So time is St Kilda's ally all the way through. You have a rival that has kicked 2 goals and would have to kick 7 in the final term to threaten.
Jack McRae, the highest rated player on the ground.
Wilkie up to a contest. Shaman. Yes, he come alive. He's going to give Owens a chance. What a grab! Pulls in the one-hander.
Outsized. What's he stand? Alex Pearce, he's almost 200 centimetres, isn't he?
Yeah, just under, I think.
201 in actual fact. And Mitch Owens outbodies him, pushes him under the footy and just plucks in a one-hander.
A little grin as he did so. And now to finish the job. Owens is lining up for his second. To continue the Saints' domination, it's all perfect. It's utterly perfect. Player and fan and coach alike.
It was a kick fitting the mark, wasn't it? It was a spectacular mark. What I loved from Cooper Shaman was he led up, he took the great mark, but then he turned and he got it in quickly, and that created the one-on-one. You see Shaman here. He charges past the whole pack and takes it, and then he goes bang. Forwards want quick ball. Gets it in there, and the kick's got enough carry where even though he's outsized, Owens can just word pierce under the footy and then back, but exquisite touch with the one hand, and then he finishes with a kick that is absolutely perfect. They're going to enjoy this, the Saints. This has been an impressive and really impressive performance tonight.
Just a little trademark bow to the crowd here.
Yep, we saw it earlier in the year, and it was the Japanese heritage. And they lead by 45. And it's growing all the time. Out of the middle, Jackson to Clark. He looked one way and then the other, and just takes off. But McRae thorn in the side again. He's losing his footing, but didn't lose control of the football totally. Hall uses the boundary line to good effect that time, despite the appeal from Clark. They've kicked the last 4 goals since Fremantle looked as if they might be trying to muster something. If you call one goal mustering something in the third term. Sarong on the move to Brayshaw. Haven't called that combination many times tonight. Wagner, that's better. There's at least some pace on the ball movement, and Amos is on the end of it.
Well, the reason there's pace on the ball movement is because they finally won a clearance. It was a pure clearance, and it was Sarong and Brayshaw.
Yeah, and Jai Amos is running out going, oh, that's what it was like back in the days when we used to win a clearance.
11 goals, 3 for the season. His pure kicking in the early phase of his career deserted him last year. He kicked 2-5 in this game in round 10 when they met against the Saints. They haven't had the luxury of enough shots at goal to actually be a straight tonight. He gets that one online. So a rare moment for the Dockers. You win a clearance, you get a shot, and what do you know? You actually kick a goal, and they're back to 39.
It's just their third mark inside the 450 for the night, which shouldn't surprise us given the way the ball's gone in there and how there's been little or no flow. So, yeah, well, that's just a reminder of what the game should look like. And when it goes and keeps going in the manner that it has, and St Kilda have dominated every aspect, you need a reminder, certainly before the final siren goes, because if they had another, it just kept going the way it has been, then they go into next week in all sorts. They still do. The next 10 minutes, 20 minutes is really important.
It's Collingwood on Thursday night. Sharp turnaround.
Over there?
Yep. Both Ruckman are in the centre square again. Darcy put it out in front of Johnson on the break. Gives it to Brayshaw. Places it for Amos. Oh, Tracy this time couldn't quite hang on. He fights underneath. Always tonight that the oddity of his year for all that he's done, he hasn't kicked a goal in the last quarter. Bit going on. Switkowski told to get up. Sarong, ball knocked out of his grasp. Back to the up.
He's been a first half operator, 15 goals in first halves, 5 in third quarters, and as you said, G, just none in the last.
McRae rack him up for another clearance. High ball Chapman goes back to get it, overran it. He's in the clutches of Hill. Every tackle getting warm applause from the St Kilda fans who have turned out. Darcy swatted it around. Good touch to get it to Brayshaw. Off to Wagner. He's gone for Bolton. Rising up.
Isn't it amazing how a clearance win all of a sudden translates to space in your forward line to lead into, some one-on-one contests and kicking to a leading forward?
Feels like the game's just started for Fremantle.
Doesn't it?
Just defies logic when you see the game, when you see the style of game that the last 4 or 5 minutes is presented.
It's been a dismal night for plenty. Shea Bolton hasn't escaped that. He's hit the belly of the ball, so that's in keeping with things, isn't it? The Saints happy enough to get it out of bounds.
Proper order of score, Jared.
Yeah, at one end, Owens just flushes the most perfect shot at the other.
Yeah.
Bolton, the fat part of the ball.
We just couldn't have the clear play again. Once enough, Chase.
Well, we nearly had 3 in a row.
Yeah, true.
Tracy just missed the mark, and then Bolton misses the kick. They could have had 3 goals from 3 clearances.
Marshall had his way with Draper, but the footy stays close to Freo's goal. Now Hall, gee, came close to diving on that. Tracy drifts back to the goal square. Sarong was on the move, trying to take the initiative, flung out the back. Was it a throw? No. Wilson to Howard. Manganine Miller, oh, subtle little kick. Gave Narkle a look and straight ahead stuff. Stella from Windhager cleared the immediate danger. The push and the shove and Cox and Shaman is the man of the hour. And the ball was over the line and out of bounds. So for all of that, no inroads made for Justin Longmuir, who's retreated to the coach's box again to get the world view of the game. On the throw. He continues to ruck. Free kick advantage. Windhager. Most pace back to goal, and the man who came the other way was Caminiti.
Again, it just continues to happen from stoppage clearances either way. Now, most of the night, it's been St Kilda. And they win another stoppage here and running forward of it. Windhager able to hit up Caminiti. Another goal-scoring opportunity for the Saints.
Ended up forward last week as they did throw things around, and he kicked a goal. Came to the Saints as a forward, and making his name in defence for most of the season. Might be a goal, as you can see. Shaman kept out of it that time. Great work from Clark. Express in front of Switkowski. Ball misbehaved a little. Sharp, kick smothered. They're still desperate, the Saints. Higgins gets a little ride. And the umpire came in with a rush, but the expectations were high from the Saints fans, but turned down. Deemed a good tackle.
He tried to roll him in the tackle. Well done to Clark, but great pressure continues. Good to see it deep into the game.
McRae and Hill combine right back to the teeth of goal. Shaman, he's drawing it like a magnet.
Well, we came here tonight thinking we're going to see Josh Tracy in action. Maybe Amos gets to the clinic. It's all been this man at the other end of the ground. It's Cooper Shaman night. And he's got the sort of numbers you'd expect. Josh Tracy, Cal Wilkie on Josh Tracy has been one of the great mid-defensive performances. And Cooper Shaman is thankful that he's in the same side as Cal Wilkie, so you don't have to play on him.
Cooper Shaman, for the second time in his career, +4 against the Dockers. He sinks the team from the west.
He's got some talent. He's got so much talent, Cooper Shaman. And, tonight's tonight. They've all had a good night, the Fremantle boys, but there's a lot to work with Cooper Shaman and Mitch Owens, and, of course, at some stage, hopefully Big Maxi Kittens comes back into this side.
And it is a different forward line, isn't it? If Max King can get somewhere near his best, then changes everyone else's role.
Yeah, it does. And, you've got Jack Higgins down there, the premier small forward in the competition right now, so it does give you a different look. They've been able to, it's just been hard work. I mean, they've kicked 10 goals. We're not saying that they're the Geelong side of Malcolm White's era, but they have got some good looks when they go forward.
They did 10 and a quarter, Gaz. Out of the middle, and high contact goes to Owens. It was almost worthy of 50 to Brayshaw into the protected area. Tossed high up. Warner had first and second play on it. Again, nothing easy though. Boxall got it moving. Or at least tried to. It stays in the vicinity. Owens on the go-ahead. Batted back straight underneath. And crowded out again. And the bottleneck at half forward. Shaman just waiting in the pocket for a quick kick. If it happened to go St Kilda's way, it still might. Steele got through the first and then laid it off. O'Connell, here he is. Got it! No! Yes! No! Not paid. Come on up. Wagner got it away. Now it's a free kick and it's going which way? To St Kilda.
Yeah, it looked like he'd been manhandled when he attempted the mark. Yeah, good look at the replay here.
The late whistle.
He's put the arm around and chopped the arm.
That gets paid.
Yep.
Gets paid.
Coop, there it is. The Saints fans shout. Uncharted territory for Cooper Shaman. Placid look on his face, but he knows there's a 5th goal on offer. Stays on 4.
He's exploded in the second half of this game, hasn't
Could
he?
have 6.
He's playing like Wayne Carey reincarnated at the moment. He's just attacking everything. The ball's being funneled through him and he looks like getting everything.
Adventurous kick in, Stockers having none of it.
Dark could have something to say about that, Joe.
Back inside, Shaman. Oh, got hands to it, couldn't hang on. Cox at the back. Runs himself out of a spot. Owens might pinch it right back. He'll have a hand in it anyway. Wilkins steal. Saints put it 4. They weren't quite set. Round ball. Shaman one way, Wagner the other. Wagner and Pearce brushed his way out. Cox. Oh, you'd want to get rid of that in a hurry. Holding the ball. Just in slow motion like they have been all night.
Yeah. And this man here, who last week,
Ross's mate,
had a shower by half-time, has had some really good moments, which again, it just says that the coach knows his players, you know. Well, good coaches know their players, and they know what levers to pull, and from the outside it may have looked harsh, but the evidence tonight is it worked.
A teenager who has had to endure a lot. He doesn't have that kick in him, and it's out on the full. And he will have won his points.
The disappointing thing about Freo, Chase, is they haven't looked like they've changed. They haven't looked like they've wanted to go and maybe overhandle just to try and get things moving.
Cox off half back, targets Wagner through the middle, missed his target instead. It was Sinclair, and it was Cooper Shaman again, who passes off to Young Hall, who takes the mark. Crowd were hoping that Shaman might have turned and pirouetted and had a bounce and snapped a lefty from the pocket, but instead he did the team thing.
Well, I think that highlights the difference between the two teams tonight as well. Shaman able to stop prop, look at an option, hit the target. Every time the Dockers have got the ball, they've been under pressure. They haven't had time to think, they haven't had time to compose themselves. The Saints have just had control from start to finish, basically.
Enjoyed this young man's game. Max Hall, 7-6, coming in tonight. Unfortunately, he's a little wobbly on the kick as well. 4th pick of the 2024 mid-season draft. He was from Box Hill. He's been a handy acquisition.
Ryan's going to try again into the centre square. And again, St Kilda are pretty well set for it. Rounded up by Sinclair. Wilkie. He will give ground. Howard. Webster before we do. And then O'Connell, who wanders around. Laying Miller up.
Really are doing as they please at the moment, the Saints.
Yeah, it hasn't been. It even started in a low-intensity fashion, and then the Saints got their appetite for, as we said, a bit of trench warfare, and there's been nothing coming back the other way.
Pollard had a fly, didn't make contact with it, so it's all unrealistic. Can he get knocked off for that? It's a cheap thrill, though. Clark out across to Frederick. You do shed some admirers on a night like tonight, don't you, Gaz? It's not the weekend to lose your core constituency.
No, and your admirers are back home, most of them. And I tell you what, this has been a hard watch for the Dockers fans back in Western Australia.
Tracy straight into Howard. Now McRae on the tidy out. Wilkie's a bit hobbled here, but he still ended up with it from Burns. He's put it out in front of Shaman. Now put a step on Coop, not to be. Wagner delivers up the wing. Brayshaw coming up at it, he won't get there. Collard, cute touch. Box will get the free kick here downfield. It'll come up to Hall.
Was a VAR off touching it, just out of the fingertips.
So Hall from the middle of the ground. He's just getting a bit of medical attention in the back play. Smashed away this time by Warner.
Josh Tracy is currently on the bench. He's kicked a goal in his last 29 games.
I reckon I take nothing away from Kel Wilkie, who I rate as one of the very best. I think that fall in the first quarter. Just watching him running around has hampered him somewhat, but no excuse. So rock solid the back half. Again, they've absorbed. Actually, there's only been 31 inside 50s for Freo, which is such a low number.
Gray, Windhager upended as he tried to kick Sarong. The hands were sharp. Got Frederick moving and he used Brayshaw to get further. Johnson, they're spreading. They won the clearance. And look how things open up. Amos, first play, downfield. He'll get the shot for goal.
Not only that, Hutto, when we watch that, Jason and I both look at each other because there's a chain of handball. We go, my Lord, we haven't seen it all night. The hands, which brings the next runner, which brings the next runner. So is it chicken or egg? Have they not wanted a handball? Have the runners not been there to handball too? I would argue you just give it anyway. And things start to happen as a result.
I've got to say, it doesn't take much for a down the field free kick these days. If you make any contact as they're getting rid of it. I mean, he moved sideways after he kicked it into the run of Jack Steele.
So Amos has had a couple of chances in this quarter and he's made good on both.
So there's been a couple of plays tonight, Hutto, as the margin comes back to 41 in this last quarter, I mean, which you're not going to hang your hat on, but you're going to remind your team about this is what it looks like. So stoppage, right? So good heat and pressure, and then hand out. Don't kick, hand out, run in support, and all of a sudden you're inside 50 having a look at it. So it's as simple as that. We just haven't seen those hands in tight, in around stoppage. Well, they haven't been a chance to win a stoppage. That's just so not what we've seen tonight.
The only way Jack Steele could have avoided contact there was to dive out of the way.
He's got his claws into that down.
I find it fascinating because it happens every week. Every game, you see half a dozen downfield. It's just for trying to put pressure on the guy that's kicking. But he wasn't even trying to do anything there.
20,522 have been in to see it. Johnson gets turned around and McRae with another clearance. He gathered by Collard. He couldn't quite. Hill, sharp hands up to Windhager, on to Garcia. Kick inside the 50. Burns works it around. Caminiti lashed to the goal. It's near side the whole way.
So the Saints heading for their fourth win of the season. And they've been good. They've been very good. Warner thumps it down the middle. Darcy, Marshall, Howard surfed over the top of the pack. This is Draper now. The clutches of McRae. It's a free kick. And Steele assessed it quickly.
Jack McRae has been fantastic again tonight.
Webster as Bolton closed the gap in the nick of time to Windhager. Short in the approach to Steele. Caminiti is the deepest target. Curls it back in his direction. Higgins going to have a fly at the front. Wagner goes up. Warner as well is present.
A lot of the games we've seen Kilda win has been on the back of Hill and maybe Wanganeen Miller and Sinclair particularly, but they've been good tonight, but they haven't had to dominate.
Oh, don't tell me that's going to bounce through as touched. Nifty work from Marshall.
He's just had a fly at the mark of the year and almost come up with a goal of the year. 43-point lead. If young Trevelyan's going to get a look at the plan tonight, the sub hasn't been required. Wagner and Warner.
You know what he's looking at, Jared? A lot of running and everyone else has gone home.
Yeah. While we're watching press conferences, he'll be running. Pearce sends the Dockers long. It's picked off by Wilkie. Got across the line of Amos. Wilkie stellar as ever.
24 possessions, Kel Wilkie.
Yeah, and on a week coming, we're going to celebrate Jack Crisp. He's 140 out of 140.
Wow.
Webster having a look at the targets inside 50. No, he played it wider instead to Burns.
Beautiful pass.
Yes. Inboard, that is a beautiful pass. And it sets up the captain for a look.
And now Jack, who's been down a little bit on where we expect him to be, is just starting to cash in as well. 24 possessions in the back half to Kel Wilkie and goalless Josh Tracy. That's That's more than you could have hoped for coming into this game. Maybe not him. He's played at such a high level for such a long time.
Just a behind in his season so far. He's trying to work his way into it. Jack Steele plants and delivers. Why wouldn't you get into it like this?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of numbers here. Plus 40, in fact, they're more than that now. They're plus 43 contested possession. It's the third best on record tonight. There's records breaking everywhere from a number point of view.
But it's a great way for Ross Lyon to back up his words from last week and everything that he would have been into about this week, to say the proof's in the pudding. When you do the hard yards, when you commit yourself and you make a decision and you say this is what's going to happen, you get the result.
It's good to be able to throw back at it.
It's not rocket science, is it? Do the hard yards and the rewards will follow.
32 inside 50s for Freo is their lowest ever at Marvel Stadium. So that's sort of kind of what it's felt like all night. It's an embarrassing night it's been.
Jack Steele's first goal of the season takes the lead out to a game-high 49. Shaman's on the bench. Yeah, I think he's itching to get back out there again. I hope he is.
So does it change, Gaz, what you think the Saints are capable of in 2025?
Oh, no, I think so. They've always got this capability in them. You wanted to see a response, and, I mean, they're good. You know, in the trenches, they've got a bit more polish tonight.
Rick's handball went straight into Darcy's head.
Into his face.
It's that kind of night. And then Miller took off. Gets involved. Look at the surge run from Sinclair. Recognised by Windhager. Then Marshall. It's getting a little fancy. Is he going to get willing? Jackson versus Garcia. Pearce puts his head down. Warner facilitates the way out. Back further to Sharp, very much on the back foot. To Warner again. He got around Hall. Just scraped out of that. Pearce to Brayshaw. They have gone nowhere fast. Back to Chapman. So well organised. It was inevitable they turn it over. Wilson, they're lining up in the pocket, the Saints. Off hands. Higgins is stalking this. He just couldn't get on the end of it. Caminiti scraped out a handball to Burns. Garcia. How do you like that, Ross? You've done well, kid.
Well, that is the greatest passage of play to show you exactly what pressure's all about. And that's been symptomatic of the night. The Dockers had possession in the defensive. I reckon they had about 8 hand passes, and every time a player got it, he didn't know what to do. He had no options. He was under pressure, so he'd give it to another teammate. And eventually they turned it over. And then to see Garcia being the one getting on the end of it, that's fantastic after what he went through last week.
So let me ask you the same question you asked me about St Kilda. How does this change, if at all, your perception of Fremantle?
Well, you look at this performance, you look at what they're able to do against Geelong, and you sit there and you say, well, if they continue to find these levels, they're going to threaten the 8.
Fremantle.
Fremantle. My apologies, I'll come back to it.
Reed's gone into the middle, hand pass to Sarong, and Reed ran into Marshall. That was a physical mismatch. Was able to release the footy. Steele committed himself. It got jammed up under there.
So with the Dockers, Gaz, my fear, and it's been realised tonight, is that they're always capable of a performance like this. And until we get to the point where this doesn't happen and you get a more committed effort, a more competitive effort, they're not going to take that next step.
Craig drops it up near half forward. Cox going back, stolen. Higgins will do that to you. On the turn, he's used it well to give Owens a chance. On the turn. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. It's beautiful.
Where's the bat?
3 for Mitch Owens.
I've loved his game, Gaz. And the numbers continue to grow for him. He's been brilliant. So 17 possessions, 3 goals. But let's not forget, he does a power work in the ruck when needed as well. He is just a man that will eat up the work that you put in front of him.
This is it's turned into a really special night for the Saints. And they're one that will restore confidence and faith right throughout the football club. And it also says that they're capable of absorbing some heat and some pressure and responding. And then it's everything but that for the Fremantle Footy Club. because the two in the last 3 weeks, they've just been opened up by a Melbourne side that hadn't won a game, and now St Kilda have absolutely slaughtered them.
So another big performance from Owens in a St Kilda victory. That's 2-4-2 and now 3 when they have won. Down to the last 3 minutes. Steele, it's the kick out, Burns, captured by Narkle.
Oh, you've got to pay that. He did a 720 with his hands free to hand pass the ball. You've got to reward that tackle.
So, unused. Valley was the late inclusion.
He's gone the other way, Ross, this week. Last week he had one in the first quarter and a half. This week he's just going to hold him back.
He might after the average time.
Yeah, exactly.
When he's done this up.
Might be playing in the VFL.
Yeah. I think they have the bye, don't they? That's the whole issue.
Steele, which means he's got an hour and a half running session after this game finishes.
Some sort of scratch match. 2 minutes 40 remaining. Josh Tracy still without a goal for the first time since late in 2023. Narkle's going to do some more tackling practice. That'll ensure he doesn't have to do much running post-game because he was the sub coming in. Unfortunately, utilised much earlier than planned with the injury to Young. It's been a horror night for Fremantle.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? They've got their one real point of difference midfielder who can split it open and kick it. Looks like he's set for a longish stint on the sidelines.
Jackson and Marshall engage again. Hill, Jackson, and it's over. Brad Hill on 21 disposals, had 33 last week. He's played his part. He was good early in this game. Of course, he's an ex-Docker as well as being an ex-Hawk. Ross Lyon vocal to the end. 2:22 remaining. Marshall, McRae, Hall, Boxall. Terrific night for him to make his debut. The young man from WA, won't he enjoy beating one of the home teams? Well played it wide. Wagner from Johnson. Here's Tracy. And think about going back and having a long ball. Here's a huge kick.
Just too far out.
Just too far, yep. So the setup to the square. Shaman was back there, would you believe?
Well, it's okay to have a setup kick, but there's no talk. He's kicked a Switkowski with a setup kick. That's not going to work.
Have a think about their trips to Victoria. Round 1 got annihilated by Geelong down the highway. Came against a Melbourne side who were winless. Fell at the MCG, and tonight strangled by St Kilda. It's unflattering when they've caught flights.
There's a fragility still about them, Jerry. And unfortunately, it's in their own minds as well.
Lose belief, and they have belief shaken on a night like tonight. They're sitting in the stands for the Saints. Hall commits himself underneath. They won't have to wait too much longer to sing it formally. Brayshaw, so Sarong and Brayshaw came here in the top 5 of the coaches' votes and have been absolutely grilled.
You got Caminiti, who's gone deep in defence, just sitting loose in front of Tracy.
Hall spreads for Burns, pokes for Owens, needs some support and has it from Steele. He's happy to give some grounds. McRae, tireless as ever.
Teasing them now.
Yep, they're just going to maintain possession. They're going to snuff this right out. They don't want to concede a late goal to the Dockers.
McRae, possession 38 coming up. Back to the sort of numbers we were familiar with in his prime as a dog. He's a premiership bulldog.
Throw in 14 clearances, Hunter.
Yep. There's Cox. Taking plenty of those tonight. It seemed important at the start of the game, but they were just relentless. St Kilda. The setup from Sharp through Dudley to Narkle. Made his debut here for the Cats back in 2018 and kicked a couple of goals. There's not a lot of joy in that, but he kicks the goal now. Returning as a Docker at his 3rd club. It's his first for Fremantle, and the congratulations are rather subdued.
They are.
Fitting for the moment.
And that'll annoy Ross because they went into possession mode with a minute left. They had control of the footy, the Saints. They wanted to chew the clock up. Eventually they went long down the line, but there was an intercept mark, a change of direction, all the things that basically the Dockers haven't been able to do for the course of the night. They were able to there, and it resulted in a late goal.
Third club played the final series for Port Adelaide and then was delisted. Fremantle, as soon as the SSP opened, they signed him up.
Not a lot of sparkle for the Dockers tonight.
Last few seconds for the Saints to navigate on their way to square in the ledger. Sinclair will be able to bring them forward, not with any great purpose that time. Cox let it land and it got away from him. Caminiti fed it by Higgins. Oh, he opened up a path and joined in the party. It's a landslide win for St Kilda. Caminiti with the final touch on the margin.
There's been so many positive signs for the Saints. We've spoken about Shaman's form, and Caminiti hasn't had a big night, 12 possessions now, but he gets a goal on the board and he's showing flexibility at either end. This is a really good turn. Gets the hand pass, he buys time again, just a little bit too athletic. Cox can't go with him. He sets his sights for home and kicks truly and erases that late goal that we just saw from the Dockers.
Only 3 seconds left to the Saints siren. They confound the Creeks yet again. Ross Lyon with one of his best yet on a Friday night. They respond in the best way possible. Maybe sprays will be back in fashion. They have demolished the Dockers. A forgettable night for Freo, but it's hard to forget nights like this if you're a Saint. Back at 4-4, and who knows what is possible in 2025. So much of the story will be in the media about the losers, won't it? But we should spend a few moments celebrating the performance from the Saints.
Oh, we should. And the number that keeps sticking out to me on the clearances, 50 to 22. You just don't see a domination like that in today's games. It just doesn't happen. But they were just completely impotent.
Let's get down to the Superman, the Cooper man.
Well, speaking about domination, Chief, this bloke did it all game. Cooper, well done. When you're on, and you were clearly feeling it today.
Yeah, it took us a while to get going, but the second half, we knew we had the, I suppose, energy in the tank to really get after him, and yeah, I suppose a couple of balls fell my way. It was really nice to be on the end of a couple.
You're very modest. Now, talk me through that goal in the pocket. Was that a little bit of Jason Akimanis in the celebration there?
Yeah, I pulled the Akaselli out. I saw him on the footy shows a couple of weeks ago, and it just sparked my memory. So, yeah, similar pocket, and just thought I'd pull that one out.
Now, is this the first time that every time you've gone near the ball, you've had 25,000 on their feet and holding their breath, just expecting you to do something?
Yeah, just about. I could hear the crowd chanting. It was awesome. Awesome to be back at home and really put on a good performance in front of our fans.
Talk to me about playing in this young forward line, because, I mean, particularly in that last quarter, we saw everybody get involved, Caminiti at the end there and Mitch Owens as well. How exciting is it for you, particularly seeing this young forward line develop that you're going to be a part of for years to come?
Yeah, it's really pleasing. You know, as you said, Camo, he got his lick of the ice cream late and we all chimed in. It's quite exciting. He goes the oldest. He's about 26 years old and we're all younger than that. So we're just building. There's going to be some inconsistencies, but yeah, the future's really bright.
And Hugo Garcia got in on the action as well. I mean, after last week where we got a bit of a spray from Ross the boss, we actually panned to Ross in the box and he had a big smile on his face. Is that just typifies how Ross is? That just, you know, he'll tell you what he wants, but when you do it, he's going to give you the tap on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Hugo, there was quite a bit of media attention about it, but yeah, Ross backed him in again. As you said, he selected him again, he didn't drop him. It was awesome of him to really contribute tonight.
Friday night, the Blues, the MCG. Reckon you can do this again on the big stage?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Nice big ground. The MCG should suit us, and we'll be ready to run around and hopefully put on another really good performance.
Well, we loved watching you play tonight. Well done.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
What a night. 4 goals. It could easily have been 6.
He's impressive, and we've seen him do this at different stages. He comes with bursts in games, so he doesn't dominate a game or take it by the scruff of the neck. But he'll dominate a quarter or a quarter and a half or 2 quarters, and he's certainly in the second half. He looks spectacular. He's got so many weapons. He's a really good athlete. I love the way he leads at the ball. He gets across the ground, and he's not afraid to fly. He's got a beautiful vertical leap and a good set of hands.
Back to you, Rubes.
Thanks, guys. Brad, a really dominant performance from your boys from the start.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. You know, like this year sort of been up and down, and we haven't been playing consistent footy, so it was good tonight to keep the opposition to a low score, and defense to be stood up today.
Well, it's been a really tough fixture for you guys to start the season as well. Do you almost see that as a positive, that you almost get to flesh out the inconsistencies in your game really early on in the season?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a tough start to the year, but our footy probably wasn't the best, and we sort of went away from our way and our system, and I thought tonight we really stood up and played the way we wanted to play, and it was an awesome effort from all the boys.
Take me into the four walls this week. Obviously, a lot of talk around the club. What did it look like in the four walls, the conversations that were going on and the focuses?
Probably just getting back to playing our way. Like, I thought we went away from that, and a little bit unpredictable with the footy, and a little bit unpredictable for each other, and it was pretty tough, and it was pretty much just getting back to the way we want to play, our defence, getting back, supporting the backs, and not letting the ball get in there so easy, and I thought we really did that today.
And the midfield battle, you guys dominated contested possessions, clearance. I mean, really set you up. But it looks like you came in with a clear game plan for Freo's stars in there.
Yeah, and I thought, even Jack still, I thought he stood up. It was awesome tonight, and just the way he got after the opposition. Jack McRae's been awesome for us this year, and even Huey Boxer, first game this year, he was getting in and under, and his tackle, his pressure, and Big Rose stood up. He's been awesome the last couple of weeks. So yeah, they were terrific tonight.
Just a word on Cooper Shaman. I mean, when you're on, you're on, and how exciting is that even to play with?
Yeah, definitely. And when he jumps at the footy, he's so hard to stop, and he had a terrific game tonight, and that goal was probably goal of the year. It's pretty nice.
Absolutely. Well done, Brad. Go enjoy the week.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Friday night footy on Fox. It's brought to you by the new Ranger plug-in hybrid and Fremantle dismantled by the St Kilda Football Club tonight. There are records being broken everywhere. 61 points is the margin. They've kept this side to 5 goals, and on the back of an ostentatious coach bake last week, Ross Lyon has got the result that he wanted. They were absolutely magnificent, this St Kilda Football Club, and they all got in on the act, and they'll go back in, and I'm not sure what sort of Rossi line they'll get tonight. I don't think he'll be as vicious as he was last time, but he will sit down and say, see what you're capable of when you bring some heat and bring some pressure, and it's a sort of result that you would come to expect from a St Kilda side.
Absolutely. He spoke about actions all week, didn't he? And obviously when he was addressing the chat to Garcia on the bench last week, he said it's all about actions, and they delivered today with those actions right from the get-go, didn't they? All parts of their game.
Yeah, and we'll get to Freo, no doubt. But that team there and the 23 players, or 22 that took the park, Trebek didn't get on, did he?
Yeah, he didn't.
But in the end, that shows you that we assumed that the sub's always going to be used, but the 22 that were on played efficient football, hard football, clean football compared to their opposition, dominated in every facet of the game, and they deserved their performance.
Stay with us. We'll unpack this. We'll get to Fremantle, as Buck says, Jordan Lewis, Nathan Buckley, Jonathan Brown, and we'll celebrate an unbelievable St Kilda victory.
Oh, in the Saints! Oh, in the Saints! Oh, in the Saints! Oh, in the Saints!
So stand by. We'll give you all the numbers because, as I said, they've rewritten the record books in a lot of ways tonight. The St Kilda Footy Club, 11 of the top 13 rated players on the ground. They've kept the side that's got Josh Tracy, Jai Amos, Luke Jackson to 5 goals in perfect conditions. A side that has aspirations to be a top 4 team, and they were embarrassed. So they've got a front up to that on the Friday night, under the Friday night lights and the big audience. But right now it's about St Kilda, and they just pulled them apart, pulled Fremantle apart.
All right, folks, that's enough of that for the poor old Dockers fans. I tell you what, St Kilda, yeah, fourth quarter, great effort, 14-10-94, scintillating 61-point victory over the Dockers, 5-3-33. Well, the Dockers, at least they put on 2 goals in that final term. The Saints, though, 6 goals, 4. Well, let's beat the Pies next week. I tell you what, the only Pies Fremantle will be beating next week is the meat pie, when they put a little bit of sauce on it. Hold on that down. I can't see them getting anywhere near Collingwood the way they played tonight. It was just as I said, it could have been one of those games. That's enough for me tonight. I tell you what, yeah, that's enough for the footy for all the Freo supporters. But you know, as I said, don't worry about it. It's one of those games I think they had, and I think a lot of teams have those off days, off games, that they just cop an absolute spanking. And this was definitely the Dockers' day today. You know, I think they've just got to learn how to travel. They've got to learn how to travel and win. I think, as I was saying, they got spanked by Geelong, Melbourne, who hadn't won a game, and of course St Kilda tonight. That is the trouble. Yeah, they do play better at home. There's no doubt they play better at home, but they haven't also been consistently four-quarter football team this season as well. So they're gonna find it tough next week. We'll let you know who they're playing. St Kilda Dockers. I think we all know the Dockers are going to be playing Collingwood next week. We'll give you a bit of a shot. Just the goal scorers. Cooper Shaman, there we go, sprung out of the boxes. He kicked 4 goals too, 16 disposals. What a fantastic game. Mitch Owens 3. These are for the Saints. Darcy Wilson 1, Jack Steele, Bradley Hill, Jack Higgins, Hugo Garcia, Lance Collard, and Anthony Community got single goal scorer for the Saints. Freo. Xiaomi Mi, the only one with multiple. He got 2. Hayden Young, Quinton Narkle, Isaiah Dudley got 1 for them. Let's have a look at the disposal getters quickly. Jack McRae there, top of the table. Wow, 38. Fantastic there for the Saints. The only one in the 30s and led by 10 disposals over the next best, which was Wanganeen Miller. Callum Wilkie next best on 24. Luke Ryan, stable game there for him from Triple B. How you going? How you doing? For Freo with 24, Jack Steele 23. Matthew Johnson next best for Freo on 21. Alex Pearce there with 18 there for the Dockers. Sinclair, Jack 20. Let's roll on down. As I said, Cooper Shaman, great game from him. Like the way he went about it. 16 disposals, 12 kicks, 4 handballs, 9 marks, 3 tackles, 4 goals, 2 for the Saints. I still like Bradley Hill out there. I thought he played a fantastic game out there for the Saints. That's definitely who I liked out there on the ground today. And if you have a look down here, the Freo players, they're right down the bottom of the stats, so they weren't getting much of the ball. All right, let's have a look at the team stats. Just pure domination. That's about 90 disposals plus to the Saints. 70 kicks, 27 handballs, inside 50s. We nearly doubled St Kilda. What does St Kilda have? 24 scoring shots for 61 inside 50s. The Dockers inside 50 34 times for just 8 scoring shots. Their efficiency inside 50. My gosh, my tongue's getting twisted. 29%. Yeah, there we go. Free kicks. I tell you what, the umpires had some fun today, didn't they? 51 free kicks given in this game today. 30-21. Plus 9 there to the Saints. 51 free kicks. You don't often see that many free kicks. The hit-outs, the Dockers, well, they finally won something for the day. 51-38 in the hit-outs, but the clearances got absolutely smashed. 28+ to the Saints, 50-22. There we go. Centre clearances, 13-5. St Kilda getting their hand on the ball all too easily. Stoppage clearances got pummeled as well, plus 22 the Saints. Wow. Contested possessions, well, as the whole story went throughout the game, the Saints were the one bringing the heat today. The Dockers, contested. Saints wanted it. Uncontested, Saints were in control. Turnovers both at 60 apiece there. Of course, the marking, there we go. Contested marks is about the only good thing the Dockers had there today, 16-4. But the marks inside 50, St Kilda 15-4. Nice figure to have 15. A lot of scoring opportunities there for them. Tackle count, well, defence, this is surprising. Also, I would have thought St Kilda brought the pressure more, but the perceived pressure and just the turnovers and mistakes, the fumbling from the Dockers, even though the Dockers had a few more tackles. Good to see, though, 18 tackles inside 50, the Dockers. They'll be happy with that. I just dropped to say bye. Stop lurking. Oh, good on you, Triple B. Good stuff. Good to see you there. Third best contested possession difference or something. Yeah, that was crazy. Super crazy. Let me just bring this over. I want to just see, where is Fremantle? There they are, 7. Let me just reload this and see whether this has updated. This is the ladder. All right, now it's updated. Of course, Fremantle and St Kilda. Fremantle, well, they needed to win this game today, didn't they? That would have pole vaulted them into the top 8, but no. They stay 10th position on the ladder. Percentage out, that's a big percentage out. It's about 17% out. Yeah, they're going to be in trouble, I feel. St Kilda, after winning today, they pole vault up the ladder, up into 11th position after played 8. 4-4, both teams played 8, 4 wins, 4 losses. There we go. 2.6% is the only difference between these two teams there. And, of course, you see Port Adelaide, only 4.2% between St Kilda and Port Adelaide. So pretty tight between 9, 10, 11 and 12th. Percentage, I tell you what, you need to start and win some games, but you need to win by a bit of a margin to boost their percentage because the teams up here are starting to run away. There we go. Let's just have a bit of a look. Well, I've got the fixture here somewhere. Next week, folks, before I get on to tomorrow's games, next week, of course, we've got the Fremantle Dockers. They're playing at home, Optus Stadium over there in Perth. They're playing the league ladder champion team at the moment, the mighty Collingwood Magpies. 9th versus 1st. Well, it's going to be 10th now. 9th versus, I should say, they are still 9th, aren't they? No, Fremantle have dropped to 10th. There we go. So it's 10th versus 1st. Fremantle Dockers versus Collingwood. I don't know whether Fremantle can actually recover after this, after Collingwood being on playing some fantastic football. I think Collingwood's going to get over there. I think they'll have a nice soft win over Fremantle. And, of course, that is Thursday night football, next Thursday night. And, of course, next Friday night, folks, St Kilda, this should be an absolute ring-a-ding-ding game, the way these two teams are going. St Kilda, they're playing Carlton at the MCG, 7:40 p.m. next Friday evening. Should be an absolute cracking game. Both teams are playing pretty good football at the moment. I tell you what, that's going to be exciting. The coming up matches there tomorrow, folks. Tomorrow all kicks off at 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. Of course, Ballarat's hosting a game of football tomorrow at Mars Stadium. Western Bulldogs taking on Port Adelaide. That should be a ring-a-ding-ding game as well. Both teams in cracking form. Of course, following that game, 4:15 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. Adelaide taking on Carlton. Another fantastic game. Who's going to win that? I don't know. And, of course, the match of the round comes up tomorrow night, 7:35 p.m. Don't miss it, folks. Make sure you're watching it, listening to it. Be here. We'll be covering it. That's Collingwood taking on Geelong. That's going to be a fantastic battle. Two great sides tussling it out there tomorrow night. And, of course, the other game happening at the same time over there at Optus Stadium in Perth. West Coast taking on Melbourne. Of course, we won't be covering that because we'll be definitely covering the Collingwood-Geelong game. And then following that, on Sunday, you got Battle of the Bridge Sydney taking on the GWS Giants, Hawthorn taking on Richmond, and of course the Q Clash, Brisbane Lions taking on the Gold Coast, which should be a fantastic game as well. There we go. That's it. I'm watching Collingwood play tomorrow on Foxtel. I'll be watching it too on KO. It should be an absolute ripper. That's where we get our commentators from. Some pretty good commentators here while we listen on in. Tell you what, I used to love listening to the footy when I couldn't watch it. It's pretty exciting to listen to it. And do you think GWS win? I tell you what, they were pretty ordinary last week, weren't they? Sydney aren't much better. I think, I think GWS might actually bounce back, get a little bit of form back happening. I think, GWS should get up over the line there. Of course, if I just, from memory, the Giants got poleaxed by, they played Western Bulldogs last week. Giants lost 81 to 113, lost by 32 points to the Bulldogs up there at Manuka Oval. Home game for the Giants last week, but the Dogs are in fine form. And of course, Sydney got poleaxed by Gold Coast Suns up there at People First Stadium there on the Gold Coast. Of course, Sydney flew the gates early, started off really well in the first half, but Gold Coast just ran over the top of them. That being said, Gold Coast, they are very hard to beat at home. Make no mistake about that. But the Battle of the Bridge, it should be a fantastic game, and of course that is going to be played at the SCG, so it should be a pretty good game. But there's a lot of players at Sydney that are not quite up to their form of last season, and of course the Giants, they're up and down as well. So, hey Harvey, how you going? Crazy game. I tell you what, crazy game. I tell you what, I'd be pulling my hair out if I was a Dockers fan. I remembered watching the Pies play once, and I think they kicked about 5 goals for the game, and you just sit there and think, you know what, why don't you just slow the game down, 20-metre passes all the way if you can. But it's just one of those games that your team have. And of course, for the Dockers, it was another game for them tonight. So we'll certainly see. Sydney did lose players this year. I tell you what, it never does help. But Isaac Heaney and Warner, they haven't been up to par this season so far. So, that being said, the rest of the team have got a lift as well. It's never easy. It's never easy when you got injuries. Look, Collingwood, they probably would have won the flag last year if they were injury-free. It's just the way football is, though. You've got to be able to play. Even with the injured players, you've got to give it your best shot. There should be some interesting football coming up over the next 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, some great games. But I tell you what, join on in tomorrow. We're going to cover a couple of cracking games. It's going to be fantastic. I'll be glued to the footy tomorrow, folks. Don't worry about that. I think all 3 games are going to be ring-a-ding-ding games. They're games you don't want to miss. Western Bulldogs, Port Adelaide. Whew, I think Western Bulldogs might be too good in that. Adelaide, Carlton, I think Adelaide might get the job done at home. And, of course, Collingwood and Geelong, I think Collingwood may get the job done. You know what? I think the Pies might get up by about 6 points in that one. I think that's going to be a close game because Geelong have been in pretty good form thanks to some of their stars down there. All right, folks. Hey, that's it. Oh, we did have a poll in today, and you know what? The poll did say St Kilda. We had 57% vote for the Saints, so well done, everybody there. Commiserations, of course, to Addy G, Adrian Sports Channel, one of the biggest Fremantle supporters on YouTube. Always, not next week, but there's always the week after for you, young man, because you're playing against my team, the Maggies. Go Pies! But, folks, that's all I got for this one. And from St Kilda, big winners here by 61 points over the Dockers at Marvel Stadium. I'll say ciao for now. Thanks for everyone for coming in, tuning in, listening to the broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Always good when you get on in here, have a chat with the others who are in the live chat. You can talk about your own teams or the teams that are playing. That's all good. That's all fun. Hey, we all love football. You got to admit that. That's why we're here. See you tomorrow. Collingwood is my team as well. There you go, Liam. Good stuff. Go Pies. Tom Stewart's out for Geelong, so they won't do. He's a big out. Tom Stewart, he's a big out. So, well, there we go. Let me rephrase. What did I say? 6 points of Pies. Let me rephrase that. Let's head out to about 27 then for the Pies. If he's out, yeah, he's definitely a big out for the Cats. Should be a fantastic game. But well done to the Saints here. It was good to, if you're a St Kilda supporter, you'll be happy with the way the Saints responded after last week. Of course, 4-quarter effort, full of pressure. It was fantastic effort by them. All right, folks. Hey, everyone, thanks a lot. Till tomorrow, ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.